All right, guys. Well, we'll just go ahead and jump right into it. At Horizon, we believe in safety. And part of safety is seeing your surroundings, always being the professional. Following distance is something that we are really going to harp on today. It is important to us. We must maintain 6 seconds of following distance. Um, there has been a couple fatality accidents in the past few months, and both of them due to following distance, guys. We have got to stop that from happening. All right. So I'm going to really hit following distance hard, which I have always hit following distance hard, but we're going to hit that real hard. If you take the initiative to do what's right, you're going to earn the respect of others, and you're going to be a difference maker. And guys, you should be a difference maker. That should be your goal out there, because you occupy that space on the highway. The people around should be safer because it's you. And really, that should be your goal if you're truly a professional driver. Seeing your surroundings. Typical day, and this could be any city in the United States. Rush hour. Bumper-to-bumper traffic. Do you think 90% of those folks have a clue of what's going on around their vehicle? No, the majority of them are just fixed on the bumper of the vehicle ahead of them. And I'll be darned if I'm going to let anybody in between me and that bumper. And that's pretty much the attitude of most of them. I guarantee you, I did not get 10 consecutive years of safe driving in Chicago by practicing that. I kept a decent following distance. And did people come around me because I opened it up like that? Yes, they did. Did I care? No. And you've got to have that attitude. There is no way you can have an awareness of what's going on around your vehicle if all you're doing is focusing on that bumper of that vehicle ahead of you. And I'm telling you, the rest of this area out here is important. When you're just focusing on that, you're getting a little sliver of what's going on. But you got to keep that vehicle inside a protective bubble. And really, if you look at this screen over here, the front of that bubble should be way out here. I mean, you should know what's going on a half a mile ahead of your vehicle, right in front of your vehicle, both sides of your vehicle, behind your vehicle, all the time. Now, the only way you're going to pull off the sides and behind is to do what? Check your mirrors, right? Yep. Okay. And you got to be checking those mirrors constantly. You got to be driving for 5. And I'm just laying some foundations right now, all right? But imagine that, obviously you're trying to keep yourself safe out on the highway. Now imagine that car that just popped up is your kids. That car is your parents. That car is brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, nephews, nieces, grandparents, whatever, in that rear car. Are you going to drive a little differently if those are the folks around you? Now, if you're sitting there shaking your head, yes, shame on you. Should be driving like that all the time. Because any given moment, those people that are surrounding you are somebody's kids, somebody's parents, somebody's brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, nephews, nieces. And it's your job to keep those people safe. And do some of those people drive like crazy? Yes. Whole lot of them. You know what? It's your job to protect those people. If you're truly a professional driver, it's your job to protect them. And the only way you're going to do that is by having a constant awareness of what's going on around that vehicle. You got to make sure you're not fixing on one object constantly. If you do, you have this dreaded disease right here that I call tunnel vision. When you have tunnel vision, basically you're staying fixed on one object, like those folks in that picture, just fixing on that front bumper of that vehicle, or that rear bumper of the vehicle, excuse me. But when you do that, you're just like this horse with the blinders, pretty much. You're just going wherever the rudder steers you, and the rudder is the rear bumper of that vehicle in front of you. When you stay fixed on one object, you're not getting the big picture. You've got to keep those eyes moving, and you need to always be aware of what's going on every side of that vehicle. And the only way that you're going to do that is to do that and do a whole lot of it. How often should you be checking your mirrors? 6 to 8 seconds. I like that. Yep, that's the one. You should be scanning a mirror every 3 to 4 seconds, a total scan every 6 to 8. Now, if you're doing that for an 11-hour day, how many mirror checks do you think you're making? Thousands, tons. 4,900 if you're doing it every 8 seconds. 6,600 if you're doing it every 8 seconds. That's a whole lot of mirror checks, right? Now, I used to take students out with me on my old job, and I'd train them, and I'd had plenty of them tell me this. Man, I'd be like a bobblehead doll if I looked at my mirrors that much. And I would just stress the fact to them that it's not an option. You need to be looking in your mirrors this much if you're truly going to be a safe driver. And then I'd always get the question, well, why do I have to look at the right side? There's just a shoulder there. And I would answer with this. The first time you go out on the I-95 corridor or in any major city in the United States, you better have the habit of looking in your right mirror. Because if you don't have that habit instilled into you, you won't do it, and you are going to get burned because the shoulder is a lane in a whole lot of these towns. Matter of fact, Boston, Massachusetts, they even got signs up there. You go into Boston, between the hours of like 3 in the afternoon and 7 p.m. at night, the shoulder is a lane. So you better be used to looking over there. What happens the first time you get off on a ramp and somebody tries to beat you down the shoulder and beat you to that ramp and you're not looking over there? You're going to smack right into them. Got to be doing those mirror checks. Bottom line, guys, you cannot avoid what you don't see. And this statement fits so many things that I'm going to be teaching this morning. Just about everything that I talk about this morning, you can apply this statement to. You cannot avoid what you don't see. If you're not looking for it, you're not going to avoid it, right? You got to keep yourself aware of your surroundings, or you could end up like this, or like this, or like this. And guys, you got to think about this. How are you going to react? Think about this. 2 different scenarios. You got the guy that hawks his mirrors, and he's looking in them all the time. All right? Now, he sees a car that's behind him about a half a mile, and he can see that the guy's all over the road because he's watching his mirrors constantly, and he sees it. And because he sees that, he's intensifying his mirror checks. Okay? And he continues to see this guy all over the road, all over the road. Now, if I see that myself, I'm looking down the highway, I'm looking out ahead to see if that shoulder's clear. I'm looking in that left lane to see if I can move over, I'm constantly watching this guy. But I'm looking ahead at the shoulder to see if I have an out. If that shoulder's clear and that guy gets up beside me, I'm going to move over and give him some room. But how can you prepare for that if you're not looking? Now, you take the guy that's not looking, he doesn't see it until the guy's right beside him. Now, the guy that's looking for it, he's over on the shoulder, he's slowing down as the guy's going around him, right? I'm avoiding this guy as much as I can, but the guy that doesn't see it, how's he going to react? How are you going to react when maybe you see it a split second before he's ready to make contact with your door? You going to jerk the wheel? You're going to jerk the wheel and jam on your brakes. If you do that, I'll guarantee you that's a real good recipe for rolling over in an RV. Real good recipe. You know, don't be surprised. Be aware. Well, that's a good one. We should have that on logos. Don't be surprised. Be aware. All right. But anyway, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Aristotle said that. Pretty smart guy from what I've heard. See, he understood what a lot of colleges study nowadays, all right? There's all kinds of colleges that have done studies on this. If you do something repeatedly, and all the colleges have come up with figures between 19 and 23 days. I'm splitting it down the middle. But if you do something repeatedly for 21 straight days, you will develop a habit that'll last a lifetime. And I guarantee you, I can attest to that. When I first got in this business, I had a trainer, and at the time, the first week or two I was with this guy, man, I thought he was the trainer from hell. I mean, this guy, he had an internal clock that went off in his head every 8 seconds. And if I wasn't looking in my mirrors during that 8-second period, he would look at me and go, check your mirrors. And if I went another 8 seconds and didn't look, it wasn't just check your mirrors. It was, I said, check your mirrors. If it went another 8 seconds, then he was threatening to put me off at the next truck stop and kick me out of his truck. I mean, this dude, zero tolerance. And he never let up. Never. I mean, this guy was constantly on me. I hated him the first week or two. Now, I finally adjusted and got used to it and checked my mirrors, you know, and got in line, you know. But I'll guarantee you, I would have never had 10 consecutive years of safe driving had it not been for that man. He instilled something into me that I carry with me to this day. When I'm out there driving my personal car down the road, I don't go more than 8 seconds without checking my mirrors. He's just instilled it to me. I'll do it the rest of my life. And we're going to talk a lot about that today, developing good habits. I just handed you guys out a sheet. But, you know, some of these things that we talk about, maybe you do well. Maybe some of them you don't. Here's my challenge to you. If you sit there and you think about it and you say, man, I don't know if I do that well. Work on it. Over the next 21 days, develop a good habit. Develop a couple good habits, all right? And I guarantee you, if you just develop number 1 and number 7 on that sheet, those two, you could end up out there on that wall with those 51 people. Just those two. Okay? Let alone the rest of it. The rest of it will make you a superstar. All right? But anyway, 21 days, developing a good habit will become a lifetime of excellent behavior. Now, good habit number 1, I will check my mirrors on a consistent basis. Now, how do you develop that habit? You're not going to have the privilege of that guy yelling in your ear every 8 seconds, right? Now, one of them is nodding their head over there. Husband and wife team, you going to yell in his ear every 8 seconds? All right, good girl. All right, anyway. But he's saying no, not good girl, no. But anyway, but anyway, out on the interstate, you're going to pass the green signs every mile, your mile markers. Every 1/10 of a mile, you're going to pass the little blue ones. Now, if you're going 60 miles per hour, you're going to pass one of those every 6 seconds, okay? So every time you pass one of those little signs for the next 3 weeks, force yourself to do that. After a while, you'll get used to the progression of it. You won't have to look at little blue signs and little green signs. You'll get used to how often you're supposed to do it, and you'll just do it. All right? Now, you get out here on roads like State Road 19, the poles. I can look out into the horizon. As far as I can see, the poles are all spaced evenly. When you pass a pole, start counting. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008. How many poles did you pass? 2? Every other pole check your mirrors. Force yourself to do that for 3 weeks, and I'll guarantee you, like I say, you'll get used to the progression of it and how often you should be doing it. Awesome habit to develop. Knowing what's going on around your vehicle is a great thing. And if you're not looking, I guarantee you don't know what's going on around your vehicle. Let's talk about causes of highway fatalities. Speeding. Speeding is the #1 contributor to accidents and traffic violations. Speeding accidents cost $40 billion annually, and they are a contributing factor in 1 out of every 3 fatality accidents. It's a whole lot of them. Big chunk. Speeding collisions cost 77,000 per minute, 1,280 per second. That's just in the United States. And bottom line, it reduces the driver's ability to steer safely around curves. If you don't believe that, look around at the ramps as you're out there on the highway and see how many people you see rolled over on ramps. I guarantee there weren't one of them going too slow. They were all going too fast. It extends the distance to get safely stopped, and it increases the distance a vehicle travels while reacting to a dangerous situation. Now, here's a graph that'll kind of explain that. Now, at 55 miles per hour, you're traveling 80.6 feet per second. Okay? Now, for every 10 mile an hour that you tack onto that, tack on 15 feet per second. Okay? So what you got to realize is this: if you're going 65 or 75 and the speed limit's 55, I mean, you're traveling 30 feet more per second than the people that are driving the speed limit. All right? Obviously, it's going to take you a whole lot longer to get stopped. Plus, you got to throw this factor in too. Is your brake going to engage the rotor with the same intensity as at 75 as it is at 55? There's going to be a whole lot more friction there. Is it going to grab the same with the same amount of intensity? It can't. A law of force says it. I mean, it's just impossible. Okay? So it's going to take you a lot of extra time to get stopped. The faster you're going. That's obvious. Now let's talk about right-of-way accidents. Accidents that happen at intersections. Now, 20% of all highway fatalities occur at intersections. Now think about this. 1 out of 3 fatalities happen while you're speeding. So what if you're speeding through an intersection? Now that throws things way up, doesn't it? That throws your chances of getting in a fatality accident way up. All right? So that right there, just those 2 statistics should tell you should not be speeding through an intersection, ever. You should be careful going through it. Anybody in here ever been broadsided at an intersection? Hitting the side. Now, I have too, and looking back on it, I mean, just being honest with myself, I had somebody hit me in the passenger door at red and red light. I had a drunk hit me when I was a kid. Had I been looking both ways before I went through that light, I probably could have avoided that. And I don't know if your situations are the same, but I guarantee you, since that happened, I approach intersections way differently than I used to. Man, I look both ways long before I get to that intersection, and I'm looking at it right before I go through that intersection. Okay? 52% of all of those highway fatalities that are listed there, that 20%, a little over half of those happen at intersections with a traffic light. 31% intersections with a stop sign. The other ones may be yield signs, pulling out of parking lots, things of that nature. Now, does everybody in here know what a stale green is? A stale green light is a light that has been green forever and ever and ever. You're a mile away from that light, and it's green. You're 3/4 mile away from that light, and it's still green. You're half a mile away. It's still green. You're a 1/4 mile away, and it's still green. Are you going to approach that light if it's 55-mile-an-hour speed limit at 55 when that light's been green for a mile? You shouldn't be. Okay? You should be slowed down 40, 45 or so, getting ready to stop in case it changes, because it's probably going to change on you. And when I'm doing that, I'm also picking out what I call a point of no return. Okay? There's a place you're going to get to where if that light turns yellow after you get past that point, it's going to be unsafe for you to try to stop. That's the point that I'm picking out. I am visually looking for that spot and deciding where that spot's going to be when I'm in that situation. If I get to that spot right there and that light has not changed, I'm going to go through the intersection. If that light changes yellow before I get to that spot, I'm stopping. And what does yellow mean, by the way? It doesn't mean gas on it, which a whole lot of folks do nowadays. All right? Yellow means caution, or basically what yellow means is if you can get safely stopped, stop. It doesn't mean charge through the light because, oh my God, I'm about to hit red, floor it. No, that doesn't mean that. All right? I think some people think red means gas on it. Man, you see people flying through red lights, and people are really drive crazy nowadays. But guys, you know, beware of those stale greens. And bottom line, clear your intersections. You should be using caution. Every time you're entering an intersection, you should be looking to the left, looking to the right, looking to the left before you get to that intersection. All right? Making sure that that person isn't going to sideswipe you. If I got somebody that's matching my speed coming to that intersection, man, I'm slowing down and I'm watching him. If you got a blind intersection and there's buildings there and you can't see both ways, man, I'm slowing way down. I'm going to poke my nose out there and take a look before I commit to flying through that intersection. If it's clear, enter it. You're always anticipating the actions of others. And remember, you're the professional. It's your job to protect those crazy folks that are doing stupid things out there. Keeping centered in your lane. That's another thing that can cause fatalities out there, high-speed fatalities. A lot of folks will tell you you should favor one side of the lane or the other. I think that's hogwash. Because if you have a little inattentive moment, you're going to drift a little bit. Everybody does. Think about any time you've had an inattentive moment out there on the highway. Most people will drift a little bit if they do, okay? I would much rather be in the center of my lane and have some margin for error than be right on one edge or the other and drift a little bit by accident and then smack something. All right? I mean, you want to try not to have those moments that are inattentive. But man, there's so many things out there that can grab your attention nowadays, guys. Fight it. Fight it. But head-on collisions. I mean, if you're favoring the left side of that lane, if there's more than one lane, you could have a head-on collision, or you could put somebody into the oncoming lane. If you drive over toward the sideline on the right, the chances there to hit a parked vehicle on the shoulder. And guys, talking about that, is the shoulder a safe place to park? No. You should never park on the shoulder of a highway unless you're broke down and you have no other choice. Okay? The shoulder of the highway is not a safe place to park. People get killed doing that daily in the United States. If you need to pull off on a shoulder, the safest, and I mean, if you absolutely have to, the safest shoulder you can park on is the shoulder on a get-on ramp. Okay? Get off of the highway, cross the road, and the get-on ramp. That's probably the safest one if you are going to park on a shoulder. Because at least if it's a get-off ramp, the people are at high speed. Obviously, on the interstate, people are at high speed. When you're on a get-on ramp, they're just turning on the road and they're starting to accelerate. They're not at full speed. Okay, that's why that would be the safest one if you are going to park on a shoulder. But I would advise you not to park on a shoulder unless you are broke down and you have to. You always need to be asking yourself the question, what if? You know, what if that person that's passing you right now decides, oh my God, I'm about to miss my exit, and they cut in front of you and jam on the brakes? If you have not had that happen to you, I guarantee you will, if you drive professionally for a while. Are you ready for surprises? Are you expecting the unexpected? If you're not, I guarantee you the unexpected will happen. You keep yourself prepared for the unexpected by having an awareness of what's going on around your vehicle. You know, if that guy cuts in front of you like that, chances are he was driving real aggressively when he was behind you too. If you'd have been looking in your mirrors, you'd have seen that. And now you'd be on top of your game a little bit as that guy's passing you, right? Because you've seen his aggressive behavior behind you. Correct? You know, are you communicating with people out there? You know, how do people communicate with you? If somebody's pulling up to an intersection and I'm in a car and I'm out in front of you all, how do you know if I've seen you or not?
If you look that way, if I see you look that way.
You see my eyeballs now. Now you know I've seen you, right? Man, if it's during the day, I'm looking at their noggin, and I'm looking to see if that head turns toward me. If I see head movement toward me and I see eyeballs, I know they've seen me. If I don't see eyeballs, I'm assuming that guy's going to pull out in front of me. Okay? At night, obviously, you don't have that option, but you know, you can see those headlights moving and things like that. You know, but how are you going to communicate with that person if they haven't turned that noggin toward you and you're approaching them? Yeah, communicate. God, in this politically correct age that we live in, where no one can offend anyone, which I think is kind of goofy, but that's the way it is. Man, don't ever be afraid to lay on your horn. I don't care if I tick somebody off for laying on that horn or not, if I save their life. I'm going to lay on it and stay on it. Right? Till I get their attention. I'm going to flash lights if it's at night, whatever it takes. I'm trying to get their attention. I'm hitting my bright switch, whatever. If I think they're going to pull out in front of me. And guys, that little lever on the left side of your steering column, that is called a turn signal. We should all be using it. I mean, I find it amazing when I go out there on the highway. I have had mornings where I kind of do this as a game. As I'm driving through town and stuff like that, I live in South Bend, and I'll play this little game, okay? And what I do is I count how many people in the turn lane have their signals on. It's discouraging as a safety person when you do that. I'm telling you, half the people out there nowadays don't use their turn signals. But I'm telling you guys, you got to have that signal on, all right? That little lever there on the left side of the steering column is there for you to use. And you should be using it every time you make a lane change, every time you make a turn, and there should be no exceptions to that. You're professional drivers. There should be no exceptions to that. No phones, guys. Phones down. All right? Now, good habit number 2. I will make sure people see me. Got to do it. Use your signals. Use your lights. Make sure people see you. Communicate. That's important. You need to always be the professional. Now, when I do this presentation on Mondays, I always have the million milers. I acknowledge them right now because, man, they're the real deal. The guys that make it to 1,000,000 miles. I mean, you don't make that without becoming a professional. When you hear the word professional, name one word that you would equate with being a professional. Looking for feedback here, guys.
Football.
Football? Holy cow. All right. That ain't what I'm looking for. How about excellence? How, skilled. Respectful. Good. Safe. Awesome. Huh? I don't know if anybody's ever been perfect except for Jesus Christ, but that's, but anyway, close to perfect though, as close as you can get, and you're striving for it, right? I'll go for that. Now, what is professional? Let's see what Merriam-Webster said. I always like to tap into these brilliant minds. Merriam-Webster, Aristotle. Anyway, characterized by or conforming to the technical or ethical standards of a profession. Now, if you're conforming to something, does that take an effort? Absolutely. How many people out here have CDLs, Class A or Class B? Wow, a whole bunch of you. Great. Now, does that little piece of plastic in your wallet or your purse make you a professional? It should, but it don't. I mean, I guarantee you every semi I see out on the road, they all got that little piece of plastic. And man, I see some semis doing some stuff that is far from professional. Far from professional. Now, this one here I think says it all. Second definition. Exhibiting a courteous, conscientious, and generally businesslike manner in the workplace. Now, I want all of you guys right now to search down deep within your souls and your memories. Think about what you've done over the last month. Every little piece of driving you've done. Can you say this statement about yourself? I exhibit a conscientious, courteous, I flipped them around, courteous, conscientious, and generally businesslike manner on the highway. Can you say that about yourself? Now, if you can, I applaud you. You are a professional driver. If you can't, then you got some work to do, right? And only you and God know that. Roy took you out on a road test yesterday, a lot of you. But, I mean, he probably didn't see the real deal. He saw you on your top behavior. So you and the Lord know how you drive, all right? And I truly pray all you guys in here are professionals. And you're safe drivers. That's what we want out here representing us. Bottom line, only you know if you got to work on that or not. And we should all be constantly working on it even if we're there. Right? You don't ever let up on that because you can go from a professional and sink back down to where you're not too. Okay? But anyway, a professional driver always obeys the rules of the highway. He's a cooperative driver. He knows what's going on around his vehicle because he's looking in his mirrors. He manages time, stress, emotion on the road, external conditions with caution. He's got a plan for every hazardous situation. He's a defensive driver. He's not an offensive driver. He's a defensive one. And there's a huge difference there. Huge. He models the driving behavior that he seeks in others. And he chooses to respond professionally in every situation. Now, how are you going to respond to that person that's out on your side and he's been on your side? And they've been on your side, and they've been on your side, and it's a half a mile, and a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, and you're slowing down, and you're speeding up. You got your signal on because you want to get out because somebody's in front of you doing 55 and it's 65 speed limit. And whatever, no matter what you do, you speed up, slow down. These people speed up and slow down too. You look in the mirror, and it's a carload of kids, and they're all laughing. They're having fun with you. They're playing games. They're keeping you pinned in there. How are you going to respond to that? How does a professional respond to that?
Slow down, but as slow as you can go, they don't get around you.
They slow down too. They're sticking right on your side.
Just get off next exit.
There you go. That's it. I would get off at the next exit and let those kids go down the road and bother somebody else. And I'll tell you something else too. If you can get their plate number, If you can get their plate number, get it. And call 911 on those kids, because you know what? Chances are they may run into someone that's not professional and gets into road rage over that. And those kids could end up getting hurt playing games like that with people out on the highway. You know, you might be saving their life by calling 911. Now, this one here, most important word that popped up on the screen, patience. I should have that blow up and get real big, okay? I guarantee you, you will not be able to do anything that's on that screen right now consistently if you're not patient. You might get it right 90, 95% of the time, but you're going to have momentary lapses if you're not patient. I guarantee it. And if you're not patient, the road will turn you into a patient man after years and years of being out there. But it's something you got to work on when you're young. I know I used to be that young, impatient kid. But you got to work at it. Got to conform, right? Remember he said we're conforming to the technical or ethical standards of a profession, right? All right, let's talk about left turns. We're anticipating that turn. Basically, guys, you're checking that intersection out. You're not just turning a corner and not looking around and seeing what's around, what the surroundings are. Are there kids running around on the sidewalk that are going to dart out in front of you? Is maybe the car that's sitting in the left turn lane pulled up past their stop line, where they're sticking out there a little further, where you may take their front end off if you don't go a little wider on that turn. Low power lines, limbs, anything like that. But you're looking around. You're not just turning a corner. People in cars do that. We don't want to be like people in cars. We're professional drivers. Got to get rid of that car mentality. You're checking behind you. You're looking in those mirrors. You're checking over your shoulder. You should be doing 2 offside mirror checks, minimum, every time you make a left turn. You're looking at that right side. Why? To protect people that are doing crazy stuff, which we'll get into here shortly. Signal well in advance, slow down, and you're going to keep those front wheels pointed straight until you make the turn. And the reason you would do that, I mean, think about this. If you're sitting there stopped because the light's green and you got oncoming traffic, and you're sitting out there in the middle of the intersection and you've taken control of the intersection, which is fine, you don't want to turn your wheels to the left while you're just sitting there, because if somebody rear ends you, they're going to push you into oncoming traffic. Okay? Another reason you wouldn't want to do that is, that I think they might be saying that, is this. And how many semi drivers do I have out here? People coming from the semi world. Okay, all my semi drivers know this. You cannot turn a left like you're in a car with a long vehicle, right? If you turn it like you're in a car, what's going to happen? You're going to run over the top of stuff, right? Okay. Now, so basically, you're going to keep those front wheels pointed straight a little longer, and you're going to kind of square off that corner and turn. I mean, I guarantee you, if you got a 43-foot travel trailer behind your pickup, you better square off your turn. It's probably not quite as extreme as a semi, but you still need to square off that turn. If you just turn like you're in a car, you're going to run over stuff with your trailer tires. Hopefully not the top of a car. All right? Now, yield to pedestrians, and that's a forgotten art nowadays. I think a whole lot of people have forgotten that. When you see people walking around, you are supposed to stop for them. Now, when you're making a turn, and guys, I don't care if it's a turn, lane change, anything. If you're leaving your lane for any reason, 70% of your focus should be on the side mirror that you're moving toward. If you're making a left turn or a left lane change, 70% of your focus should be in that side mirror on the left. If you're making a right turn or a right lane change, 70% of your focus should be in that mirror to the right. And on a left turn, what you're looking in that mirror for is you're looking at your left rear tire. Okay? And I don't care if you're dragging a trailer or if you're in a motorhome. But you're watching that left rear tire, and you're making sure that that left rear tire gets around the center line. And that is a good habit to develop, by the way, that I don't have on this page. But it's one that I should add. You don't ever want to be chopping off that left turn box. If there's a guy sitting here waiting to make a left, well, it'll look like a right to you. I'll make a right here. But if you got a guy sitting here and you're making a left, and he's sitting in his left turn lane waiting to make a left, you don't want to shave off the corner of his turn box with your trailer. That is a bad habit to develop. If there's not a trailer there, just turning that corner short, it's a bad habit to develop because you may turn that corner short when somebody's there if you're doing it when people aren't there. And now you're going to be in a situation where if you're in the habit of doing that, hopefully you're watching your mirrors, because if you do turn that corner short and somebody's there, you're going to be in the embarrassing situation where you got to stop, and that whole intersection is going to be blocked, because if you don't stop, you're going to run over the top of someone. And now you're going to have all kinds of people honking their horns and making hand gestures at you and all the stuff that people do nowadays. All right? But anyway, you should always turn that corner as if there is a car sitting there. That way, you do that. I mean, you should be like a machine when you're making those left turns. You should be using the same methods every time you make a left. Always avoid that turn box, all right? Like I say, don't let the wheels pass over the center line. Now, if you've got two left turn lanes, like this situation right here, which lane are you going to turn from? Okay, the far right one, the outside one, right? And you're going to go outside lane to which lane? Outside lane to outside lane. Now, let me explain why you do that, okay? Because some people, they will say, well, why do you have to do that? Here's why. How wide is a traffic lane? 12 feet. They're, most of your U.S. and state roads, they're 12 feet, okay? So, if I'm over here in this left lane, I am now 12 feet closer to any car that would be sitting up here, right? So if I'm 12 feet closer and I got a 43-foot trailer behind me in a pickup, I've got to go even further out to get around that guy, right? Than I would if I were over here, because I'm closer. Now, when I go further out, what's going to happen to Joe four-wheeler out here that's in the outside lane that's completely oblivious to the fact that I have to turn that corner wide? What's going to happen to him? I'll tell you what's going to happen to him. You're either going to hit him, or you're going to force him into oncoming traffic, or you're going to force him off the road. I have it happen on CDL tests at least once a month. We have 2 double lefts on our route. And one of them is up coming off of Highway 20 onto State Road 19, and we make a left to go south. There's like a raised curb right there in the median. There's a raised curb there, and you have to, if you turn from that inside lane, take up part of the right lane to get around that curb, or you'll hit the curb. And they all know if they hit a curb, they're going to fail. So they'll try to avoid that curb when they turn from there. So they'll go to the right lane, and as soon as they do it, if anybody's on their right side, they put them on the shoulder. Automatic fail. As soon as I see a car hit that shoulder. Okay? But that's why you turn from the outside lane, because you don't want to force someone off the road or force someone into oncoming traffic or hit somebody, right? Now, okay, you got a double left here, and you're going to 3 lanes. You go outside lane to center lane. Now, here's the type of turn you're talking about where that'll occur. Okay? And that's the reason you're doing offside mirror checks, by the way. Okay? Because there are crazy people that will get in that outside lane even though it's not a turn lane, and they will make that turn. Now, whose job is it to protect crazy people? We've already established that, right? Yours. Okay? Now, basically, guys, that's the turn right here that is the most dangerous one of them all, as far as the left goes. Because if you don't know this, let me throw this statement out and get this into your head, because it's 100% absolute truth. Four-wheelers do not like being behind large objects. They do not like being behind you. They can't see around you, and they will do everything, including crazy stuff, to get around you. Legally, whose fault is it if you hit somebody making a left?
Well, if I'm making a left.
Do you know what? If I'm on a review board and you hit somebody making a left turn, you're at fault. You're the professional. It's your job to see them and avoid them.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
You should, if you're not making offside mirror checks, you're not doing what you should be doing as a professional driver. You should see that guy and stop.
But when you made the statement on the guy on the right side,
Mhm.
outside, it's not a turn lane, but he makes that turn.
Right, it's an illegal turn. He may get ticketed for it, but you know what? If it comes down to avoidable and non-avoidable, that's avoidable. That is avoidable. You will never get a review board to review that and say that that is an unavoidable accident. Because if you had been looking in that right mirror, you could have avoided it. And I've sat on tons of review boards, so I have a pretty good knowledge of how people rule on things. That would always be an avoidable accident. Yeah, like I said, yeah, the guy may get ticketed though for passing you out there. But anyway, bottom line, guys, people will try to go on that outside. And the thing is, if they come up there and the car's coming from back here, see a car with their signal blinking here? And what's funny about it is usually most of the time that they're doing that illegal act, they want you to see that they're doing it. Because they want you to know they're there because, hey, I'm illegal. They know they're illegal when they do it. So they'll usually flip their signal on, which is pretty amazing to me, but they do most of the time. And when cars behind see a car with that signal on, 3 or 4 more of them will say, oh, that's a turn lane. And they'll zip up in there with their left signal on too. Now you got to wait on 3 or 4 of them. And guys, if you pull out there and you're doing that offside mirror check and you see people are turning around your outside, you need to stop. Let the crazy people be crazy. Let them go around you, and then finish your turn. Okay? You don't want to force them into oncoming traffic or hit them or anything like that. Even though, I mean, you're the professional. It's your job to protect them, right? Bottom line. Good habit number 3. I will make sure that I always do 2 offside mirror checks on all my turns. And that includes rights, guys. I have had people try to go around my outside on a right turn too. And those are the extremely crazy people because they're going into the oncoming lane traffic when they do that. Crazy people. But I'm telling you, it happens. It happens. Good habit number 4. I will make sure I turn from the correct lane to the correct lane on left turns. All right? And guys, you're going left lane to left lane on that single left turn. Okay? Always. You don't want to go left lane to right lane because same thing. You could force somebody off the road, force somebody into oncoming traffic. You always go left lane to left lane. Double left turn, outside lane to outside lane. That's the law. You'll find it in every CDL manual in the United States. Right turns. Always start the right turn from the right lane. You're anticipating the turn. Same thing. You're checking that intersection out. Lots of new hazards on rights. I mean, you could have people standing on the corner. You could have light poles where the green and the yellow and red light are on a pole mounted on the corner. You can have fire hydrants, newspaper stands, a lot of stuff going on those corners when you're making rights. You got to check behind you and to your left side, because you might have to take up a little bit of that left lane to make that right turn. It's what's called a button hook turn. Now, when I was a trainer in the semi world, I would tell all my students, at some time during a right turn, you are going to occupy 4 different lanes to get around that corner. You're either going to occupy one lane on your side and 3 on the other, 2 on your side and 2 on the other, or 3 on your side and 1 on the other. But you've got to occupy 4 different lanes at some time during that turn to make a right. Now, it's probably not quite 4 lanes with a pickup truck and a motorhome, but you're probably still at about 3 to 3.5. You got to take up some extra room to get around that corner. And you're going to have to either do it on the side that you're on or on the other side after you complete the turn, right? But you want to get into the proper lane well ahead of turning. Signal well in advance of the turn and slow down. And here, this one here, guys, this should be highlighted, bold, underlined. It's the most important point. Do not ever allow enough space for a car to get on your right side during a right turn. If you're doing that, it's not a matter of if you're going to get in a wreck, it's when. Because you will get in one if you're allowing cars to get on your right side when you're making a right turn. You don't ever, ever allow enough space for a car to get in there. Once again, 70% of your focus should be on the right side mirror or that sight side mirror while you're making that right turn. And once again, you're watching your right rear wheel. If you're pulling a travel trailer, you're checking the right rear wheel on the trailer. If you're in a motorhome, right rear wheel on the motorhome. But you're checking that right rear wheel and you're making sure that it gets around the corner without hitting it. And that you're keeping 1 to 4 feet of space in between that tire and that curb line. If a car's going to pass you on the shoulder, they should have to get up on the sidewalk to do it. And if they hit you and they're on the sidewalk, whose fault is it? Theirs. If they hit you and you leave enough room for them to get in there, whose fault is it? Yours. Turn should be made at a safe speed. And if you got to make 50 people back up to make a right, you might want to rethink that. Guys, you're always going to be delivering on main routes, main highways, okay? State roads, U.S. roads, pretty much all these places are on main highways, okay? Within a half a mile or a mile, there's always a place to flip around, come back, and make a left. If that right is that difficult where you think you're making things dangerous by trying to make that right, go flip around, come back and make a left. It's always easier to make a left. Here's another thing. 3 lefts equals a right. Right? You know, if you decide to do the 3 lefts thing, let me caution you, okay? If I'm making a left down a strange road, I'm making sure I'm not just going to whip and make that left without looking down that street and seeing what's ahead of me. You don't want to ever blindly go down a road. Once you pull out of the yard with that new RV, any scratch, any gouge, any nick, anything, it belongs to you. It's yours. You own it. Okay? So if you're going to make those 3 lefts, before you commit to making that left, I would pull up to the intersection and I would stop with my left signal on, and I'm looking down that road and I'm making sure there's no low branches, no low wires. I'm telling you guys, branches are the enemy. Branches will scratch up and booger up a unit. And then you're responsible for it if you scratch it, okay? So, you know, I would be looking down that road and making sure there's no low limbs, no low power lines, nothing that's going to touch that RV. And if it looks clear, then go ahead and make that corner. Bottom line, if you're going to do the 3 lefts thing, best rule of thumb is to just go on roads that say trucks allowed or that don't have signs that say no trucks allowed. Because the semis clear out the branches for you. All these guys running around in these company trucks, they don't care if they hit branches. All right? But, you know, Go on truck routes if you're going to do that. That's the safe way to do it. Now let's talk about button hook turns. Now, in CDL manuals, and this is one thing that I definitely disagree with, okay? But in CDL manuals, they say this is an illegal turn.
It is illegal.
Okay? They say it's illegal. Now, I guarantee you, if you have been out on the road for any length of time, you know that there are some corners you will not get around them if you don't do a button hook turn. It's the only way you can get around them. So to me, whoever put that in the CDL manual, they don't know what they're talking about. They haven't been out on the road and experienced. It's some college kid that's done nothing but push a pencil and has never experienced real life. Okay? But now, if you're going to do one, let me explain to you how to do it correctly. Okay? So you don't get yourself in trouble. Now, if I'm setting up for that type of turn, number one, when I'm way down here somewhere, 500, 600, 700 feet away from the intersection, I am watching that left lane like a hawk because I want to make sure that left lane gets clear when I come up to the light. All right? And I'm staying in my right lane till I get about 50 feet away from the curb line. Entire truck and trailer is in the right lane. All right? Then, about 50 feet before that light, before I get to that curb line, I'm going to make an abrupt cut to the left with my pickup truck. And I'm blocking that center lane off. Now, if you do it that way, center lane and right lane will be blocked. And that should be your goal. You do not want a car to get on your right side. You want both those lanes blocked off. All right? Now, if the light turns red, you're just going to stop there with both lanes blocked. Once the light turns green, you are going to proceed straight out with your truck. Now, when you do that, that trailer is going to start at some point wanting to get behind you, right? Before that trailer opens up enough that that right lane opens up for a car to get in there, you close it off with the truck. Okay? And then just watch your right rear tire and make sure it gets around that curb line. And you're probably going to be up here somewhere with the left corner, with the left wheels on your pickup truck until that trailer tire clears, then you close it off. All right? Now, if you're uncomfortable doing that, go do the 3 lefts or go flip around and make the left, okay? But I'm telling you, that's the proper way of doing that. Now, if you're going to do one of those type of turns, beware of places where there is a shoulder with a solid white line. Okay, what does that solid white line mean? It means don't cross it, right? Do you think cars are going to listen to that if you're blocking both lanes? Do you think cars are going to listen to that? I guarantee you at some point in your life, if you're doing turns like that, a car will come flying past you on the shoulder at about 50 miles an hour. And if you're not looking for it, you won't avoid it. Once again, if you're not looking for things, how can you avoid them, right? And I guarantee you that will happen to you at some point in your life if you're doing button hook turns. I've had it happen to me twice over the years. Okay? So it does happen. So be very careful if you're making that type of turn and there's a shoulder there. Okay? Good habit number 5, I will make sure I never allow room for a car on my right side during a right turn. All right, lane changes. When you make a lane change on a multi-lane highway, the potential is always there for these type of collisions. Sideswipe, run off the road, force off the road. On my old job, I did remedials with a whole lot of folks that had complaint calls and stuff for this type of thing. Okay? And the amazing thing is, about 90% of the folks that I had to do these remedials with, they weren't new guys. They were the guys with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years under their belt. Guys that have maybe made 5 to 10,000 successful lane changes, and now they start becoming complacent. And what's scary is what goes away with complacency. Okay? When should you be checking your mirrors during a lane change? And I'm looking for 3 words.
Before you ever start.
Before, that's one of them. During, that's another one. What's the other one? After, yeah. So really the whole time, right? Before, during, and after, all right? Now, the during is what goes away, and that's scary. I'd take these guys out on remedials and take them to a spot. I'd get them all comfortable and, get in a good conversation with them and get them to where they're letting their guard down. And then I'd take them to this spot where they had to do 3 lane changes to get off on an exit. And I wouldn't tell them that they had to do 3 lane changes. I just tell them to get off on the exit. Okay? And I would watch them do those 3 lane changes. And man, this is what I'd see. They'd flip their signal on. Look. Look. Scary. You've got to be looking while you're making the movement. That's the most important time to be looking, is when you're making that movement from one lane to the other. 70% of your focus should be in that mirror during that time while you're making that movement. Remember that graph that I had up earlier? At 55 mile per hour, you're going 80.6 feet per second. And for every 10 mile per hour, people are going faster than you. They're traveling 15 feet more per second, right? How much faster are cars going than you out on the highway? 10? 20? Maybe even 25 in some places, 30. Crazy folks. But bottom line, guys, if you're not looking over there during the movement, I mean, if you do this, look straight ahead and then move, I'm telling you, by the time your tires get to that divider line, you could have 2 cars halfway up your side. And how can you avoid what you don't see? I'll keep throwing that statement out there. How can you avoid what you don't see? You got to be looking during the movement. That is the most important time, man. I mean, you should be like, while you're making that movement over to that lane, you should be like this. I mean, the whole time. You should be looking over there. And the thing is, if some crazy person decides they're going to go around your right side to try to beat you to that spot because they don't want to wait on you, which they do, what's your job as a professional? Abort. Go back to your lane. Let the crazy people be crazy. Then make your lane change when it's safe. Try it again. But you're not just going to keep continuing over and force them off the road, right? Professional drivers should not do that. Even though you're not the one being crazy, they are. It's your job to protect them, right? Best way to avoid a collision during a lane change is to do what I call take 10. If you do your lane changes like this every time, you will never force someone off the road or run someone in the ditch or sideswipe somebody, all right? It should take around 10 seconds to make a nice professional lane change. You ever see somebody take 2? What's that look like? Doggone trailer looks like it's going to rock over and fall over, and it looks anything but professional. But anyway, going to turn on that signal and let it blink at least 3 times or 3 seconds. And you're checking your mirrors to see if that lane's clear. If the lane's clear, you're going to start making that nice, steady 7-second movement with 70% of your focus on that side mirror while you're making the movement. Then, once you think you're completely in your lane, check both mirrors, make sure you are, signal off. Whole process should take 10 seconds. And if you do your lane changes like that, every time you make a lane change, you will never have an incident on a lane change. If you're doing proper mirror checks, you will be checking the mirrors before, during, with heavy stress on the during, and after lane changes. Good habit number 6, during left turns, right turns, lane changes, like I was saying earlier, 70%, if you make any movement out of your lane change or turn, 70% of your focus is on the side mirror. It's going to keep you from hitting things. If you're not doing that, I guarantee you'll hit things. Now, let's talk lane changes. You should be moving over to the left lane. I mean, we're already talking lane changes, but when you're making a lane change, cut that out, Kyle. Anyway, when you're making a lane change, you should be cutting out well before you get to that vehicle. All right? But what I see a whole lot of folks doing, and see, you're not even breaking your stride if you're doing that. But what I see a whole lot of folks do is this. They'll get right up here, like so. And once they get there, they'll flip their signal on. And then they move out, accelerate, and pass. I see so much of this out on the highway. Now, when I see that, that tells me three things about that individual. And I know I'm probably getting in some of your stuff right now. You don't look in your mirrors at all. If you're getting in that situation, you don't look in your mirrors at all, not near enough. Or you wouldn't be in that position. If you knew what was going on around your vehicle and you had an awareness of what's going on around your vehicle, you would be out in that left lane well before you got to that guy. Number two, you don't care about tailgating, or you wouldn't put yourself in that position. If you're in that position even once a day, it's one time too many, because that is a deadly position to be in. You have now given control of your vehicle to the person in front of you, because especially if it's a semi. I mean, think about it. This is a semi. What can I see? Can I see anybody's eyeballs in this room right now? You've lost all this. This is important, people. And the thing is, once you lose all this, you've left all the decision making to the guy in front of you. If he screws up, you're going to screw up probably right along with him. Maybe to your death. Maybe to your death. We're going to get more into following distance in a little bit, but guys, don't tailgate. Number three thing, if you're doing that a lot, you're going to burn a lot more fuel during the day. Whole lot more. And that fuel's out of your pocket now, guys. You're independent contractors. You burn 2 extra gallons of fuel a day out of bad habits, you've just kissed about $1,500 away that year out of your bottom line. You're going to want to learn to have good habits with your fuel consumption. Trust me. It's out of your pocket now. Now, when you're coming back around that vehicle, are you going to just cut over as soon as your rear bumper is past him and give him the sensation that you're going to take the front end off his vehicle? Or are you going to give him some space? Yeah, you should be giving him some space. Now, are crazy people going to go around your right side when you do that? Yes. Of course. They're everywhere. I keep telling you guys, you got to watch out for them. They're everywhere. Now, once again, whose job is it to protect those crazy folks? Yours. You just stay where you're at, let the crazy people be crazy, then you make your lane change, right? All right. Good habit number 7. I will make sure that I check my mirrors before, during, heavy stress on the during, and after lane changes, right? All right. Exit and entrance ramps. Now, you're going to encounter 2 different types of ramps out there. That one on the top, you are very rarely going to see. All right? Can you obey that top sign? Yes. That sign is set up for large, high-profile vehicles. Now, there is one exception I would give on that. One exception. You guys that have been reading your driver manuals, what's Horizon's stance on wind speed? 25 mile per hour sustained. Get off the road. And I'm telling you, a whole lot of hands shot up. A lot of you guys are just coming out of semis. You are going to learn. These RVs are not near as stable as a semi with an empty trailer. Not even close in wind. I'll guarantee you, when you get 25 sustained, you will want to get off the road unless you are at a certain level of crazy that scares me. Okay? But you will want to get off the road. All right? And it's not the 25 mile an hour sustained, it's the 40 mile an hour gust that blows you over. It's that 40 mile an hour gust. But the gusts usually run 10 to 15 mile an hour higher than the sustained speed. That's why we want you off the road at 25 sustained, so you don't encounter a 40 mile an hour gust, okay? Now, with all that aside, I know we're talking about ramps, okay? but guys, if you're going down the road and I'm going due west and I've got a wind coming straight out of the north smacking me at 23 mile per hour on the right side, and I'm getting ready to go on this ramp right here, man, am I taking it slow around that ramp. Very slow. I don't want to make any sudden movements to the right. You know what? That 10-second lane change has now become 20 if I got the wind smacking me on the right side. Man, oh man, I am ever so gingerly moving over in that type of wind. Okay? You make any sudden movements with a wind like that smacking you in the side and you get a gust, you're going to be in trouble. Take it real easy, okay? Same thing if you got the wind smacking you on the left side. You don't want to make any sudden movements to the left, okay? I always like to bring that up at this point, though, because that would be an exception. You know, if that ramp says 20 high profile and you got a stiff wind smacking you in the right side and it's a tight corner, man, I may be doing it at 10 or 15. I'm not doing nothing crazy when I got a stiff wind smacking me in the side. All right? But anyway, bottom sign. Can you obey that one? Yeah, that sign there is actually the suggested speed for a car, not for a large, high-profile vehicle. All right? You want to be going 5 to 10 mile an hour below the posted speed with that type of ramp. Okay? Now, I guarantee you, no one ever flips over going too slow on a ramp. In all my years in safety department experience and stuff, I've investigated a lot of wrecks. A lot of them have been rollovers on ramps, and I guarantee you, no one ever rolls over going too slow. They're always going too fast. So do you know how easy it is to investigate a rollover wreck? Every one of you guys has a black box, right? Okay, in your pickup trucks and in these motorhomes, they all have black boxes, okay? All you got to do is get the data and find out how fast that vehicle was going before it slowed down to zero. And then all you got to do is Google Earth the ramp. You don't even have to go to the scene. Google Earth the ramp, see what the ramp speed signs say. You don't even have to go to the scene to investigate a rollover wreck. Very simple. And while I'm on the subject of black boxes, guys, you guys did logging yesterday, right? Now, know this. If you ever get in a fatality accident, they will get your stuff from your black box. And it better match what's on your log. What Marion was saying this morning, zero tolerance, guys, log it as you do it. That's the way everybody should be doing it nowadays in this day and age. When I was training students, I always had this rule, and I would say, if your butt leaves that seat or hits that driver's seat, you update your log. And if you do it that way, you will always be current. Okay? So, you know, just try to live by that. If you get out of that driver's seat, update your log. When you get in that driver's seat, update your log. Then you'll always be current. There won't be any of this pulling the scale in my log books a half a day behind or a day behind. All right? Now, exit and entrance ramps when it's snowing, okay? New challenges. You get a little ice build up on the back side of the mirrors or on the antennas. Maybe you're gripping fine on the road. Just because the road's okay does not mean the ramp's going to be okay. If you got a little ice buildup on your vehicle on the outside, don't assume that that ramp's not going to be slick because the road isn't. I would rather assume the ramp's going to be slick and find out that it's not than assume that the ramp is not slick and find out that it is. That's a whole different scenario. I mean, you know, you hit that ramp at high speed and it's black ice, you're in trouble. Probably going to go sliding right through a stop sign or off in the ditch. Okay? Anyway, good habit number 8. I will not go too fast on ramps. And I reiterate, nobody ever rolls over on a ramp going too slow. You know, can you spare 10 mile an hour to stay on your wheels? How much longer does it take you to go around that curve at 20 instead of 30? Couple seconds? Okay, easy choice, right? All right, now tailgating. And guys, this is important. Like I said, and I don't want anybody to leave the room while I'm talking about tailgating. If you have to use the restroom or anything, please stick around until we get done with this. This is important right here. This is the one thing we talk about this morning that can get you killed. Okay? I mean, literally, this can get you killed. Looking at that guy right there. Anything wrong with him? Way too close. What's he got on his door? Well, hopefully it's Indiana Transport or Star or one of those folks. Probably, definitely not a Horizon driver, right? What about that guy? He doing any better? Yeah, he's probably worse. Now, that little car right there, he's probably the first one I see in that picture that I'd say, that guy's got it together. Okay? Now, you look at that picture. Tall buildings, top right corner. Kind of getting out in the country. Divided highway, center divider there. Get on ramp, limited access highway. What do you think speed limit is there? 45? 45? We'll go with 40. I got data for that, all right? I don't have 45. Now, 40. At 40 mile per hour. And guys, this study is done with semis and trucks. I mean, semis and cars, okay? I searched and searched and searched the internet trying to find a study with an RV and a car. It don't exist, okay, for stopping distance data. Now, I will say this. Semis, they've got air brakes in them for a reason. They're the best brake. They're the best, most reliable brake there is. That's why they're in semis, okay? Your electronic brakes in your pickup truck are not as good as air brakes. Okay? Now, when you have the thought to hit your brake pedal and your foot obeys and you engage that pedal and then the fluid goes from the master cylinder to the caliper and then your brake pad engages that rotor. That whole process, you've traveled 44 feet. Same thing in a car because they got hydraulic brakes too. All right? Or same thing, would it be the same in a semi even? I mean, the reaction time is just about the same no matter what you're driving, all right? Now, where the difference comes in is this. That car is going to get stopped in 80 feet. You guys are going to weigh anywhere from about 7,000 more pounds up to 30,000 more pounds than these cars. Okay? Depending on your weight, you're probably going to take maybe a little more than that 125 or a little more than the 80 that the car stops. So you're going to fall somewhere in that pocket, but you're not going to be able to get stopped as fast as that car. Not a chance. It just ain't going to happen. Now, I say at 45 mile or at 40 mile per hour, 125 feet stopping distance for you, 80 for the car. You're probably, like I say, going to be somewhere in the 100-foot to 140-foot range, depending on what you got. But bottom line, Bambi jumps across that center wall and hits that little gold Saturn. What's going to happen to that pickup driver? He's going to have a Saturn for a hood ornament, right? Now, here's another thing to look at. 40 mile per hour. 58.6 feet per second. Now let's look at this again. And think about that. Look at that truck and think about that. 58.6 feet per second. Look how close he is. 58.6 feet per second. He doesn't even have a fifth of a second of following distance there. Zero reaction time. If that car screws up, if he even just so much as taps the brakes, he's going to be into his rear end. How long does it take you to change a radio station in your car? Couple seconds? What if you don't like the first channel you got to? 4 seconds? Maybe 5? At 58 feet per second, if it's 5 seconds, man, you've traveled about the distance of a football field. What if that guy just lets off the gas while you're checking your station? Bang! You're going to hit him. Now, here's where I'm going to kind of get in your faces, guys. And really, you need someone to get in your face over this. This is important, guys. This is, like I say, this is the one thing I talk about that can get you killed. That front car following that cube truck, who's making the decisions for him? The cube truck. If that cube truck goes in the ditch, that car is going to follow him right in. All he can see is spraying doors. He's oblivious to what's going on around him, remember? That's what that car is seeing right now. He can't see nothing out here. Nothing. If you get that close to anybody, even once a day, you're doing it one time too many. Now, hopefully, I'm not talking to one person in this room right now. Maybe I'm talking to one of you, or two of you, or three of you. Maybe 4 or 5 of you. I don't know. Do you know that guy in that cube truck? Do you know that guy in that truck in front of you? Do you know if he's drinking? Do you know if he's stoned? Do you know if he's maybe just a horrible driver and he's had 2 or 3 wrecks in the past month? Do you know if he's suffering from depression? Do you know if he's suicidal? Do you know if he's schizophrenic? I mean, do you know anything about that guy in front of you? Now, if you can't answer yes to any of those questions, and you're one of those people that are doing that at least once a day, here's my question to you. Why would you be willing to place your life in the hands of somebody that you can't say yes to any of those questions to? Because that's what you're doing. If you're doing that, you are literally placing your life in that man's hands. One of my duties at my old job, I got to clean out trucks of deceased drivers occasionally that had accidents. If it happened in our area, they'd tow the vehicles into our area, and one of us 8 guys would get to box up the guy's stuff and send it back to his wife. If there was anything left. The last guy I had to do this with got caught up in one of those pile-ups. You ever see those convoys in the cities where there's 10, 11, 12 trucks? This guy got in one of those convoys. And he didn't have his seatbelt on. You know how I could tell? From where the hole in the windshield was there where his body exited the vehicle. Do you guys know how much a semi weighs? Fully loaded semi. Any of my semi drivers, what do they weigh? 80,000 pounds, right? Guys, don't ever get in between. Try to avoid getting in between two semis out there on the road if you can. I'm telling you, two semis will smash your little RV like a bug. 30,000 pounds will not win against 160. If you got a semi in front of you and one in back of you, you will not win that battle. Don't ever get the thought, oh my, I'm going to jump up in there and make some time and get up in there with those guys. Man, do not do that. Avoid that. This guy here that got in that wreck, what happened was the guy in front saw that there was a vehicle in front, stopped, and he waited till the last minute, cut over. The guy in the second was being inattentive, rear-ended the car, and then they all piled up. See, when you do that, the guy in the front is in charge. He's making the decisions for everybody. He screws up, man. Usually everybody else does. Now, the guy in front in that case didn't get hurt, but he made a bad decision, and the rest of them all got hurt because the guy in front, they left all the decision making to that guy in front, and he made a poor decision. Guys, stuff like that happens every day. Don't let that be you. Keep a 6-second following distance. Now, you guys remember how many feet per second are you traveling at 55? 80.6. 80.6. Now, think about this. 6 seconds. 6 times 80. What is that? 480 feet, right? Now, if I was to get 100-foot tape and start measuring out here and figured out how far 480 feet is, which I'd like to do someday, I'm not quite sure how far it is, but I would almost bet you it's out to the street out there and maybe even across the street over to the liquor store. Okay? It's quite a ways. And a lot of people will think that's extreme to follow that far off. But I'll guarantee you, when I drove the city those 10 years, I always kept a good following distance. And you know what? 2 or 3 times every year, I would have pileups happen in front of me. And I was the one calmly getting stopped. And I would see all this chaos up in front of me. Semis with 18 wheels and smoke rolling off of all the wheels. Cars going sideways in the road trying to get stopped. Metal flying. Axles flying. I'd see all this crazy stuff when it happened. And I would be calmly getting stopped. I'd be one of the first ones to get stopped. Every time it happened, because I had a decent following distance. Yes, even in the city. And there are people that tell you can't keep a good following distance in the city. I say hogwash. Yes, you can. If everybody was going 65 in those metro areas, I was the one doing 62. Letting everybody pull away from me. You don't lose nothing in the city by going 3 mile an hour slower, because you're going to stop and start and stop and start and stop and start anyway. The traffic hardly ever just keeps moving. You'll end up catching right up to those people when all the traffic stops. I would continually, all the time, see people darting in and out, passing and passing and passing, trying to make time in the city. I'd get 10 miles down the road, and that joker wouldn't be but a quarter mile ahead of me. He's gained 15 seconds with all his effort. It's not worth it, guys. Don't tailgate. Now, that's what can happen to you if you do. That's not a desirable thing, guys. I guarantee you, that guy there, whoever was driving that, is below ground. He has assumed earth temperature, whoever that is. No. Good habit number 9, I will maintain a 6-second following distance. Now, how do you do that? You get that vehicle in front of you, when it passes a fixed object, you start counting. 1, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006. If you pass that fixed object before you get to 6, increase your following distance. Do that for 3 straight weeks. Then you will get a feel for how far that distance should be, and start keeping that kind of distance all the time. And I'll guarantee you, I challenge all of you in this room that don't do this. Do this for 3 weeks and come to me and tell me that it's more stressful driving this way. There's not a one of you that will do that. It is way less stressful keeping that kind of following distance. You're going to eat a lot less Rolaids, and you're going to know what's going on a lot better up in front of you. When stuff happens up in front of you, you've got a good view of it. I mean, if I can't get back any further than this, but if I was to go back there and stand in the parking lot, and this wasn't blocking view, I'd have a really great view of all of you, no matter what, right? Closer I get to this, the less I can see, right? I mean, it's a no-brainer. When you're right on somebody's butt, man, you're losing a third of the pie. You don't know what is going on in front of you. That's the important part. All right. Earning the respect of others. I said clear in the beginning of the presentation that you can earn the respect of others by taking the initiative to do the right thing. You know, things we've been talking about for the last 2 hours, watching your mirrors, keeping a good following distance, knowing what's going on around your vehicle, checking your mirrors, communicating with people, using your signals. Now, here's one that I have not talked about. Are you that person out on the interstate highway, speed limit 65, and you're out there in the hammer lane doing 65? Because nobody should be speeding. Who made you the highway policeman if you're doing that? The left lane is for passing. If you're not passing somebody, get over in the right lane and let the people drive the way they want to drive. It's not your job to police the highway. That's the policeman's job. Now, there is one exception to that. If you're in a city like Chicago or St. Louis or Indianapolis or LA or New York, don't stay in the right lane. Right lane is unsafe. Every quarter to half mile, you're going to have get on and get off ramps in those cities. Get in the next lane over. There's constantly traffic getting in and out and cutting in and out of that right lane. That's not a safe place to be when you're in the city. Get in the next lane over, all right? Now, if I could give you 4 tips that I think gave me 10 consecutive years of safe driving in Chicago, that would be one of the 4, okay? Stay out of the right lane. Number 2, watch your mirrors. Know what's going on around your vehicle. Number 3, keep a good following distance. Number 4, in the big cities, change lanes as little as possible. You see these people jumping all over all the time in the cities, like I was saying earlier. They don't make any better time than you just sitting back, maintaining your lane, and keeping a good following distance. You're going to get through the city just about as quick as them. They may beat you by a minute or 2, the other end, doing all that crazy stuff. But to me, it ain't worth it doing all that crazy stuff just to gain a couple minutes. But, you know, I would go all the way from the Illinois-Indiana line, and I bet I didn't change lanes more than 7 or 8 times, from the Illinois-Indiana line to the Wisconsin-Illinois line. I'd get in the lane I needed to be when a split came up, and I stayed there. Okay? I really think those 4 things got me 10 consecutive years of safe driving. I had good habits, and man, I was like a machine. I did everything the same every day, checked my mirrors the same, turned my corners the same, did my lane changes the same way. I developed techniques, and I stuck by them, and they kept me safe. You know, that's the way you guys should be doing it, guys. You're not in cars anymore. Develop good habits, all right? Anyway, obey all the traffic laws. Don't be flying around in parking lots. How fast should you be going in the walkie yard? Yeah, it's posted 10. I guarantee you, I probably wouldn't be doing 10 going down that center lane where all the aisles are, where you're deciding what row to go in to go pick your unit up. just in case somebody turns around one of those corners on you and they're not looking and seeing what they're doing. Another thing too, when you're going down that lane, I'd stick more toward the center unless something's coming the other way. But if you're just going down that lane by yourself and no one else is on that lane, I would stay kind of toward the center because of those people that come out around the corners. All right? If you hog one side or the other, you might get bit. Well, another thing too, TAs, pilots, Petros, how fast are you going in those truck stops? Yeah, 5 miles an hour, probably a pretty safe bet. Now, if you're pulling through a fuel island, you're idling. And when you're getting ready to poke that nose out there where people walk to the left and the right, stop. Take a look. Make sure nobody's coming. I mean, there's always people walking in front of that fuel island like this with their phones, completely oblivious to what's going on around them. You know, you got to protect those folks. Now, what's Horizon's stance on backing? Don't do it. Don't back. Now, when I give this safety class to the new guy or the experienced guys on Monday, I always ask this question: how many of you backed in the last month? Usually about half the hands in the room fly up, okay? Now, I know you guys are, you know, this is a decision you have to make, okay? Know that every time you back up, you're breaking policy. Horizon's policy has been, is, and always shall be. Don't back. Now, I also know this because I drove for a number of years. You're going to pull into a truck stop sometimes late at night because that's the only place there is to sleep. And there's 3 spots left. And the only way you're going to get in it is to back in. Now, you're going to have to make a choice then at that point. You know, am I going to break policy or not? You'll probably decide to break policy. Now, can I give you some advice? And I'm not, don't go up there telling people I told you you could back. That's not the case. Okay? Backing is against the rules. But if you decide to break policy, let me give you some advice. If you think you're getting close to something and you're backing in between 2 objects and you think you're getting close to something, stop, get out and look. And if you got to get out and look 10 times, get out 20. Okay? Make sure you don't hit anything with that $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 unit. Okay? Take your time, get out and look. And I remember when I was a trainer, man, I'd take my students into these lots, and you'd see these greenies. I always called them greenies. These new guys, and you could tell they were new. And they were struggling, you know, they'd pull up and back up and pull up and back up and get out and look and pull up and back up and get out and look. And there'd always be this idiot on the CB. Ah, look at that guy. I could back circles around him. Maybe I ought to go over there and put it in the hole for him. I always hear that guy. And I would tell my students this when I heard that. I'd always tell them this. If I were to buy a fleet of trucks, I would rather have a fleet of those guys that are right there, like that guy out there that's out there struggling right now, than that blowhard on the CB. Because that guy on the CB, he thinks it's an error to get out and look. He thinks he's too good to do that. That's the guy that's going to hit things eventually. And you know what? He may have 100 times better skills than that guy that's struggling right now and getting out and looking. But eventually, a month or 2 down the road, that guy's going to get it figured out. And now he's a much more valuable driver because not only has he figured it out, he gets out and looks. I guarantee you, I haven't driven professionally now for about 5 years, but even up to my last year of driving, my 27th year, if I thought I was getting close to something when I got out and looked, I stopped, I set my brakes, and I got out of that truck and I looked. 27 years. But you know what? I never had a backing accident in all of those 27 years because I did that. Okay? Good advice. I'm telling you, real good advice. Don't ever be afraid to get out and look. Now, and here's something else. I want to give you a little visual here. But if you're if you're backing in between two fixed objects, let's say you're out there and these are two trucks. You're backing in between, all right? If you come in that hole at an angle, where's the corner of your vehicle? Where's the back corner? You're getting about ready to smack something, aren't you? Okay? Always enter the hole straight. What I always told people this, all these vehicles that you guys are going to be driving, 10, 11, 12-foot overhang, a lot of overhang. However far of an overhang you have, pretend that the opening to this hole is out that far. And bend that thing around that imaginary opening. That way you enter the hole straight. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? And if you start to enter in between two objects and you're at an angle, pull up. Get straightened out and then back in. Okay? But don't ever enter a hole at an angle with one of these things with a bunch of overhang. You're asking for trouble if you do that. When you're in slow maneuver situations, get out and look. Now, bottom line, guys, set the standard. Remember in the beginning we said we want difference makers. It should make a difference that it's you that's out there on the highway around those folks. Those folks should be safer because it's you. If you're truly a professional driver, like I was saying. Good habit number 10. I will always know what's going on everywhere around my vehicle in slow maneuver situations. Guys, that's when the majority of the accidents happen. The majority of accidents don't happen out on the highway at high speed. The majority of accidents happen at deliveries, at fuel stops, at places where you're maneuvering around stuff. I mean, about once a month, pictures get sent in with yellow paint on the back of motorhomes. What do you think that comes from? Fuel islands, the yellow poles around fuel islands, with people cutting to the left before they get out of the hole. You got to remember, when you're pulling forward, that overhang's there. You cut one way or the other, that overhang is going to swing over about 5 feet. It'll reach out and touch stuff. You got to be aware of that. Here's something else about overhang. Watch out for dips. If you've got a dip and you got a bunch of overhang, you got to realize when that tire drops down into that dip, the bumper is still on high ground. What do you think is going to happen? It's going to bottom out. You might bend a frame. You might take the back wheels up off the ground and get stuck. If there's a big dip, you don't want to go through it. A slight dip, make sure you hit it at an angle. Okay? Are you going to have bad days out there? Obviously, that cow thinks that's pretty funny, doesn't he? Man, your first 100 miles of the day, you got 6 little towns that you're going to go through. They all got 20 lights and a railroad track, and you get caught at every light and every track. And now you're 10 miles from the interstate, and you're rejoicing because you're like, man, I'm finally going to make some time. I'm 10 minutes away from the big road. All right. Boom. Thump, 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 thump. Now it's even a worse day, right? Now you call the repair company, and they tell you it's going to be 5 or 6 hours before they can get out there to repair your vehicle. Even worse day, right? So now you're 10 hours into your day, and you finally get that tire fixed. Now, is this the time to get impatient and say, I'm going to make up for all that time I lost?
No, just say, well, tomorrow's another day.
Guys, don't ever get impatient and start doing illegal stuff and get overconfident and think that, I can get away with this. I can get away with being in that, on line 4 and line 3 for, well, actually, I can get away with falsifying my log. Whatever you got, guys, you don't want to fudge your logs and do goofy stuff. You'll get if you get in a fatality accident, you're going to be in trouble. That black box data better match your log. If you took off at 8 o'clock, you've got to be done by 10 p.m. Okay? And I guarantee you, they'll be able to get that black box data and see that you took off and that truck moved at 8 a.m. You better be on the driving line on your log when they look at it if you've been in a fatality accident. And you better not drive past 10 p.m. It better not happen past 10 p.m. Okay? You know, how can somebody lose their focus out on the highway? Cell phones. You just got in a blowout argument with your husband or your wife over the phone. It never got resolved. You hung up on each other. One of you hung up on the other one. Is that a good time to go drive the vehicle? You've got a temperature of 101. You got the flu. Is that a good time to go drive that vehicle? Every little thing that's happening to you today is causing you to get in a road rage. You're getting angry at everything. Is that a good time to drive the vehicle? Guys, if you're having a day like that, can I give you a suggestion? Go do something that makes you happy. If watching a movie makes you happy, go find a movie theater and go watch a movie, preferably a comedy. All right? Do something to make you happy, man. If eating a steak makes you happy, go find a steakhouse and get you a big old T-bone. Put that smile back on your face. Adjust your you need an attitude adjustment. When you're out there and every little thing that's happening is ticking you off, believe me, it's not the other people's problem. You're the one with the problem. It's not normal for every little thing to tick a person off. That's not normal behavior. And that's the kind of stuff that happens right there. When you ain't got that right frame of mind and you get impatient. Power battles, reckless driving, aggressive driving, which causes 50% of all accidents. Road rage. It all begins with impatience. That's the root. You start getting impatient, those four things are going to happen if you don't nip it in the bud. Let's talk fatigue driving. Now, I don't know if that guy on the bottom right is fatigued or dead or what, but boy, he ain't right, is he? But are you driving tired or sleepy? There's a company that did a study some years back. They took little cones, put balls on them, and they put them about yay far apart to where a dual tire could fit in between and made a nice curvy quarter-mile course. All right? And they ran 260 drivers through it. All right? Now, the reason they used so many drivers is they did not want familiarity with the course to taint the results. Each driver went through the course one time. All right? Now, what they did was they took 10 guys that had been awake for an hour, ran them through the course. 10 guys that had been awake for 2 hours, ran them through the course. 10 guys that had been awake for 3 hours, ran them through the course. So on and so forth, up to 24 hours. And naturally, as the time lengthened, the scores got worse. Okay? Now, the last 20 guys, the first, all 20 of them off of fresh sleep. They got some alcohol out. And they got the first 10 up to a .05. Ran them through the course. They scored the same as the guys that have been awake for 17 hours. Then they got the last 10 up to a .10. They scored the same as the guys that have been awake for 24 hours. So the bottom line is this, guys. When you're driving fatigued, at some point, you start driving like you're a drunk. Whether you realize it or not, your ability to perform basic driving tasks becomes impaired. Just like the guy drinking, a couple drinks of alcohol. It decreases your reaction time. It affects your judgment. It affects things like depth perception, your peripheral vision. You start getting tunnel vision. You can seeing things. What, little people? What are you seeing? I'm just messing with you. All right. it can result in erratic driving behavior. um, it can result in erratic driving behavior. Bottom line, guys, and these are some of the warning signs. Feeling sleepy or tired, that's the obvious one. I mean, you're going down the road and you're doing this. I mean, never been there. Can't remember where you just were. You just passed the 100-mile marker and you don't remember passing 50 through 99. Trouble staying in your lane. Thank God for rumble strips, huh? Whoever invented those things was brilliant. Unable to get comfortable in that seat, pushing on the ceiling, pushing on the floorboards, moving around in that seat, burning eyes, itching eyes, rubbing that neck or face, slapping your face, slapping your own face, rolling your head down or rolling the window down when it's 10 degrees outside, sticking your head out the window when it's 10 degrees outside, keeping the air conditioning so cold that you got ice forming on the inside of the windows. Guys, that's not normal behavior. Okay? You're tired. Go to bed. If you're experiencing any of these symptoms, you should already be off the road. You've waited too long. Go to bed. This guy here drove his shuttle car all night long. He lived about 12 hours away from here. Left the house Sunday evening, drove all night, checked into the Wakarusa checkout station at 7 a.m., hooked his tow car up to this unit. At 8 p.m., pulled out. At about 9:45, he did that. They had the vehicle brought back to the walkie yard. We got the black box plugged into. We got the data off of it. The last 35 miles that this thing ran, he was doing 65 mile an hour on the cruise. Police reports say the vehicle just veered off the road ever so slightly. No signs of brake marks, no nothing. And he just continued to drive 65 as he was going off the road until he hit like a little embankment and it rolled him over. Okay? The guy fell asleep at the wheel. Now, I will say this about this guy. Very blessed man, because if you look at that seat, it is the only part of that vehicle that's not tore up. Look at that seat. It's perfect. Boy, somebody was protecting him. That's all I got to say. He did not even get a broken bone, from what I heard. Now, he lost his job, but from what I heard, he didn't even have a broken bone. Mm-hmm. Very, very, very blessed man. Good habit number 11. I will not drive fatigued. I guarantee you guys, that could happen to any of us if we're out there trying to stretch the limits. And you may not be as lucky as that man. Guys, there ain't no RV worth dying over. If you're tired, go to bed. And you know, the thing is, and I know this, especially as I get older. I mean, some older folks, and I'm one of them. Sometimes I have trouble sleeping at night. Okay? Now, if you have one of those nights and you've only slept an hour, God, don't get up and drive that RV. Go back to bed. Just call in, tell them, hey, I had a hard night. I couldn't sleep. I'm going to finish getting my sleep, and then I'll take off. But, man, don't drive fatigued. There ain't no RV worth dying over. And I know we want you guys on time. We want you keeping your commitments, okay? That's not something you should be calling in and doing every load. I'm tired. I didn't get enough sleep, okay? That shouldn't be happening. But, I mean, if it happens occasionally, we're going to understand that, okay? God, don't die over an RV, all right? If you do all these things, huh? You know what? We're on the last slide right now. What do you think of that? But if you do all these things, if you do all these things, you're going to make a difference, guys. And like I was saying, we want difference makers out there. Let's talk about winter driving, although winter is officially over, but I guarantee you guys are still going to hit some winter weather you go out west. I've gotten into snowstorms up in Flagstaff in July before, so it happens. But guys, you got a couple things going on in the winter. You got two things: slick roads, high winds. Either one of them by themselves is bad enough, but when you combine the two, it can be pretty bad news. But that first picture, that guy there, he lived to talk about that one. This guy did not. Okay. Here's another shot of it. Guys, when you see signs like this that say wind gusts 50 mile an hour plus next 130 miles, get it off the road. Don't even hesitate. Yeah. Get it off the road. Now, when you see these wind socks or whatever they call these things like that, to starch one of those things, that takes about a 35 mile an hour sustained wind. So when you see those things starched like that, you should not be on the highway. Okay? And they've got them all over out west. In the cattle fields and stuff out west. You'll see those all over the place. But bottom line, you do not want to be out there in high wind. Now, if you've never seen a rollover accident, this is what it looks like. This guy here, he's only doing about 30 mile an hour. I mean, he's not going that fast. He's going through a construction zone, and he gets hit with a wind that's probably just barely over a 40 mile an hour gust. That went over slow. It didn't go over fast. He just got hit with one just slightly over 40. Now, this next guy, he's doing 65 mile an hour. And he gets hit with a good one. You can tell. It's 50 plus. Now, ladies, if you do not like the sight of blood, don't watch this. When this vehicle flips over, I'm not sure what happens inside the vehicle, but a lot of blood goes squirting out the windows. So I'm just telling you, if you don't like the sight of blood, don't watch, all right? But 60. Look how fast that goes over. And this is slow motion. But guys, you're one poor decision away from that. One poor decision away. You know what? You could be the best driver in the United States. Maybe you got a whole wall lined up with belt buckles from winning rodeos and whatnot, and all kinds of safety awards and whatever. You know what? Wind does not respect that. Wind does not care how good a driver you are. Has no preference. It'll blow over you just as easy as it does the crappy driver. Okay? So I am telling you, please take my advice. When you see a sustained wind of 25 mile per hour, get off the road. And if you park, preferably try to find a place to park where the wind is hitting you in the face or in the back, all right, and not on the sides. For the very same reason, it could take over a park trailer too. Now, winter driving tips, guys. Number one, drive slowly, smoothly. If the roads are slick and you're uncomfortable, shut it down. I always told my students when I was a road trainer, don't ever drive past your comfort level. If you're uncomfortable because the roads are too slick, shut it down. All right? Now, all of us have different comfort levels. I mean, I grew up in the north here. I grew up on a lake. We get all kinds of lake effect snow. The last couple winters here have been really abnormal. We haven't had much snow, but normally we get a ton of snow, up near 100 inches of snow usually every winter up here. But man, when I was a kid, I'd go out and auger holes in the lake and drive my car out there on the lake to my fishing holes and do the crazy stuff that a 16-year-old kid does in a car on a lake. if you can imagine. And you know, but bottom line, I'm not afraid to drive on slick road, okay? My comfort level is up here. Now, some of you are from southern states, and maybe you're from towns where if there's even a rumor that it's going to snow, they close the town down the next day, okay? Now, and us northerners, man, we think that's hilarious. I mean, we do. We just think that's flat out hilarious. But I mean, because it's nothing for us to drive through a few inches of snow. But you know, your comfort level's down here, obviously, right? Maybe some of you've never even driven in snow before. Now, just because my comfort level is here and yours is here, does that make me a better driver than you? No. No. Now, how many comfort level folks do I have like this in here? I want to talk to my high comfort level people right now, all right? Now, I'm going to talk about myself, okay? That was so as not to offend anyone, okay? Now, if I'm out there on the road and I'm doing 35, 40 mile an hour and I'm on kind of a little bit of snow, a little bit of icy patches, a little bit of snowpack here and there, but I'm gripping good. I got good tires and I'm not having any trouble at 35 to 40 mile an hour. I'm maintaining, I'm not sliding around, and I'm gripping fine, and I'm doing my thing, all right? But now I come up on a whole line of cars that's doing 20 mile an hour, and there's 50 of them, far as the eye can see, and they're all kind of close to each other, all right? What's the first thing you think goes through my head? Now, he's laughing, and you know why he's laughing? Because he's thinking what I'm going to say, because I'm going to be, I am truthful as can be in this class. You know what the first thing is, I think? If you can't go any faster than that, why don't you get the heck off the road? That's the first thing that I think. Seriously, okay? But because I think that, does that give me license to get out there in that left lane and start blowing around all those people? If I do that, I'm stupider than the guy following the cube truck. Seriously. And I know I'm getting into some of you guys' stuff right now, but it's the truth. I'm stupider than the guy following the cube truck because I got to ask that question about every one of those people in that right lane that I'm passing. Are you drunk? Are you stoned? Do you have you had a couple accidents in the past month because you're a crappy driver? I even got to throw this one in. Have you ever driven on snow before? Are you just some young kid and it's your first winter out there? I don't know the answer yes to any of those questions. And if just one of those folks screws up and I'm out there doing 10, 15 mile an hour faster than everybody else, am I going to be able to get stopped? Not a chance. I'm entrusting my life and everybody else's around me to every one of those people I go around in that lane because I'm out there being stupid, really. Guys, in that situation, the best thing to do, get in behind, go with the flow, increase your following distance. Double it. Put yourself in a position where you don't have to hit the brakes. Brakes are the enemy on ice and snow. Brakes are the enemy. Remember that. Don't get in a hurry. The last thing you want to do on snow-covered, ice-packed roads is get in a hurry. Slow down. Take it easy. Make turns as gradual as possible. Some of you guys are going to do bumper pulls for the first time this week. All right? Let me give you a little tip of advice about bumper pulls. And if you're from the semi world, you know this because you've slid tandems before. Wherever your weight is proportioned on one side of a tire, if you add weight behind a tire, you're going to lose weight. And if you add weight behind a fifth wheel or a hitch or whatever, you're going to lose weight on the other one, right? When you add weight behind that rear tire with that bumper pull, it takes weight off your steer and adds weight to your drive tire. And that steer tire, that steer axle becomes real light with a bumper pull. So light that when you go to take corner, if the roads are even wet, they don't have to be icy, just wet. If you go too fast around that corner, your front end's just going to push. You're going to turn the wheel, and that front's just going to keep going that way. Okay? So I'm telling you, take it real easy around corners with a bumper pull if the roads are slick or wet. Okay? You'll see what I'm talking about the first time you're going too quick around one and you can't turn. All right? You'll just slide. Hit the brakes gently. Like I said, brakes are the enemy on snow. You should try, if you're going to hit the brakes at all, put yourself in a position where you have to hardly brake. Very light. Feather in that brake pedal. You should never put yourself in a position where you're ever having to hit that brake pedal with a lot of force. And if you do end up having to hit the brake pedal with a lot of force and you're pulling a trailer, my tow-away folks, here's some advice to you. If you have to hit that brake pedal harder than what you're comfortable with, make sure you check your mirrors while you're doing it, because something may be coming around to kiss you. Okay? And once again, how can you avoid what you don't see? I can throw that out in a whole bunch of scenarios. Okay, but if you have to hit those brakes too hard, you want to be checking the mirrors. And here's something else, guys. I have a whole lot of folks. Now, well, I shouldn't say a whole lot of folks, but I know some folks that will say this stuff, and it's goofy. I stress, it's goofy. You're going to run into somebody sometime that tells you, yeah, turn your electronic brakes up a little hotter on your trailer, and it'll save your truck brakes. When people say that, I imagine a stupid stamp on their forehead right here. Stupid. Okay? God, don't do that, guys. If you forget those are set like that and you get on slick road, let me ask you a question. What does a locked up tire have a tendency to do? Obviously, it slides. It's locked up. That ain't what I'm looking for. What'd you say? That's it. It's going to come around on you. Yeah, the locked up tire, guys, will always pass the rolling tire. Okay? So if this is your trailer and this is your truck, and you've got those trailer brakes turned up hot, and you're on slick road, that's what's going to happen to you. Pickup truck guys, how many of you guys have exhaust brakes on your trucks? Okay, you shouldn't be running those on wet or slick road. Okay? Because if those drive tires start spinning slower than the steers or the trailer tires, this is what can happen to you. Any of you guys ever been on a skid pad? Very cool training. But since you ain't been on one, I won't talk about it. But guys, bottom line, you know, you want those brakes to be set correctly. The furthest front axle should have the most braking power. Then your drive should have the most, then the trailer the least. That's the way your brake should be set up. Okay? Avoid having to slow down and speed up. Go slow around curves and ramps. Don't brake while in a curve, if at all possible. If you know you're going to have to brake and you're getting ready to go into a curve, slow down in the straightaway. And then coast around the curve, all right? You don't want to be braking while you're in a curve. Be careful on bridges. Bridges will freeze before the highway. And this would be a perfect example. Like right now, yesterday it was up in the 50s. The ground's probably warmed up. If we had a little bit of rainy drizzle and a freeze today, the roads probably wouldn't freeze at 31 today because it was 50 yesterday. But the bridges would. Okay? Now, how do you approach a bridge? If you're out on the interstate and you think it may be slick, how do you approach a bridge? Here's my advice to you. Whatever you're doing when you enter that bridge, continue to do it all the way across the bridge. Don't change speeds. Don't change lanes. If you've got your foot on the accelerator, keep it right in the same spot on the accelerator. Don't press the accelerator down. Don't let up on the accelerator. Any of that stuff could throw you into a slide if the bridge is slick. Just maintain whatever you're doing when you hit the front of that bridge all the way across. If it's like one of those little short 40, 50-foot bridges. Now, if it's a long bridge like Mackinac Bridge or something like that, I mean, obviously, slow, slow, slow from beginning, get-go to end, right? There's going to be times where you can't cross that bridge, too, because of the wind. Anyway, keep a larger following distance. If it's, huh?
Do they stop you up there?
They'll put signs up to suggest that you don't cross, but they don't stop you.
I just wondered.
They'll put signs up suggesting. Now, they will close the bridge at a certain point.
Well, I meant.
Yeah. Now, guys, keep a larger following distance. We want 6 seconds on dry road. We want 12 on slick. Double it up. All right? Try to stay away from other vehicles. And the key is this. Put yourself in a position where you've got such a good following distance, if something happens in front of you, you don't even have to hit your brakes to get stopped. Just barely, right at the end, you're feathering them to get all the way stopped. All right? But you should be able to, if you're on snow and ice pack, you should be able to slow down with the engine. You should keep that good a distance. All right? Don't take chances. Bottom line. And if you go into a slide, guys, and the thing is, if you go into a slide, you've probably screwed up because you're going too fast and you don't have a good enough following distance. Bottom line. But if you that does ever happen to you, if I could give you any advice, you will never break your way out of a slide. If you're in a slide situation and you hit your brakes, you're toast. You're going to go wherever the momentum of that vehicle carries you. The only way you will ever get out of a slide is to steer out of it. And what you've got to do is, if you have a manual pickup truck, does anybody in here have a manual? You're all automatics? Okay. Automatics, you just remove your foot from the fuel feed and steer. Take your feet off of all the pedals and just keep steering that truck if you get into a slide. And you're steering toward a designated point, preferably the road. Right? All right. Now, if that window is the road, all right? If that window is the road, and I go into a slide, and my front end starts going this way toward the left, which way am I turning the wheel? To the right. Okay, I oversteered. Which way am I turning the wheel? Back to the left. I oversteered again. Which way am I turning the wheel? Back to the right. But I'm constantly steering toward that window. And I didn't take my eyes off that window the whole time. I'm keeping focused on that point, and I'm steering toward it, no matter which way that vehicle turns. That's the only way you'll ever get yourself to come out of a slide. Okay? Now, like I said, you're probably not going to get in that situation unless you're going too fast and you have to hit your brakes harder than what you would like. Okay, so if you keep a decent following distance, you're probably not going to get in that situation to begin with. But if you get in that situation, that's the only way you're going to get out of it, is to steer out of it. All right? Winter inspection tips. Make sure your coolant system's full. Temperature check. Defroster's working. Wipers are in good shape. Guys, bottom line, pickup truck, my tow-away guys, keep those trucks in good shape or they'll pass the DOT inspection. I guarantee you're going to get burned if you don't. If you're from the semi world, they pull in RVs more than they do semis. Seriously. You'll find that out. Make sure your windshield washer reservoir is full. That's my tip for you guys from the south, man, that have never driven up here in the north. We salt down our roads. You're going to go through entire jugs of windshield washer fluid in one day, sometimes two, up here. Because when that salt hits the window, it just smears all over the place. And if you don't have washer fluid, you ain't going to be able to see. Make sure your tires have proper tread depth. Lights, reflectors are always working and clean. Just because that's a brand new, clean, pristine motorhome or travel trailer, that doesn't mean the lights are going to keep working all the way from point A to point B. Somebody didn't shut their phone off. Someone's not following the rules, and it's the instructor. Anyway, all right. Be careful you don't slip on deck plates or from hand grips. Make sure you clear snow from in front of the radiator. Make sure you got if you got exhaust leaks, you're blocking those off. Blocking them off. If you've got exhaust leaks, you're cracking your window when you sleep at night until you get it fixed so you don't asphyxiate yourself. God. Does everybody in here know what anti-gel is? All right. Is there anybody that does not? Please raise your hand now, speak now, and forever hold your peace, which, since I'm being filmed, I got to talk about it anyway, in case somebody watches the movie, now that I think about it. But anti-gel, guys, when you purchase fuel up here in the north, sometimes you're going to have options of buying number 1 and number 2 fuel in the winter. Always get number 1 if you know the weather's going to be cold, because it's treated. Now, treated fuel will still gel up between 0 and 10 degrees. And when I say gel up, what I mean is like this. Diesel fuel will literally turn into like Jell-O at a certain temperature, okay? And Jell-O will not go through your intake ports on your engine, trust me, all right? If that happens, you are going to be stuck, and it's cold out. And think about this. Now, you're at 0 degrees with no heat. You're now in a life and death situation, okay? So make sure if you know it's going to get between 0 and 10, you're putting anti-gel in there if the fuel's treated. Now, if you buy fuel in the south, they don't treat their fuel down there. So you probably want to up the game to about 20 degrees, okay? Now, anti-gel, they sell it in like all truck stops, Walmarts, Napa Auto Parts stores, places like that. They sell it, okay? When you get it, it's going to have instructions on the side of the bottle. It'll tell you how much to add per how many gallons of fuel that you're going to put in. Always put the anti-gel in before the fuel, because then the fuel will mix the anti-gel around in the tank. Okay? Simple as that.
What happens if you don't?
It'll gel up.
I know, but does it hurt the engine?
It just won't run.
Okay.
Jell-O won't go through your intake ports. Now, there's a product called 911 that will thaw out gelled up fuel. You pour it in the tank and it will thaw it out. Now, however, you don't want to put that stuff through your engine very often. It'll hurt your engine, okay? You use it in extreme measures and emergencies, okay? Now, if I was a tow-away guy, I would probably keep a bottle of that in my toolbox in the winter, just in case, okay? But it's called 911. Now, weather apps, guys, you should always be prepared. When you pick up that RV for the first time today, if you're going out to the West Coast, man, I'd be checking the weather. Pick out some different towns along your route and get a weather app out and see what the weather's going to be like when you get there. Because, any of you guys, if you're going across I-40, they route you across 40 in Arizona, man, it can be 80 degrees in Winslow, Arizona, and there can be a blizzard up in Flagstaff because it's the highest point in Arizona. It's about 11,000 feet when you get up there, and I'm telling you, they have snow in Flagstaff in July. Okay? There's probably only about 1 month out of the year that they don't get snow up there, and that's August. That's about it. So, you always want to make sure you check the weather out. Be prepared. And if they're going to have a blizzard up in Flagstaff, I'm going to call my dispatcher, and I've already checked the weather along another route and figured out a different route. And I'm going to call my dispatcher and say, hey, I checked, they're going to have about 3 feet of snow in Flagstaff. Can I run 80 across to Salt Lake and run 15 down? Okay? And as long as you tell them ahead of time, they're probably going to go with you on that, all right? Now, if you don't say anything to anybody and you just choose on your own to go the way you want to go without communicating, and you end up going through a state where you have to purchase permits or something like that, they won't reimburse your permits. okay? Because you didn't ask permission. You were supposed to go the other way, all right? So make sure you communicate with us if you decide to go a different route. They're going to email you a PC miler sheet telling you which way to go, giving you directions. Now, I will warn you about the PC miler sheets. PC miler will have you get off at exits sometimes in towns just to save a half a mile. And you'll see it. It'll say like get off on exit whatever, and then it'll say get back on like 4 miles later. And you're getting right back on the same interstate. They're doing that to save you like a half a mile. You're going to have to go through 50 traffic lights probably if you do that, where you could have just stayed on the interstate and drove that 4 miles. Look for little spots like that on your PC miler and stay on the interstate. Use good judgment, okay? But you'll see stuff like that. What you might want to do is just put a pen and cross those out when you print it up or something, and cross those out and just stay on the interstate. But look that over real good. Follow the route with a map and see what they're doing, okay? Bottom line, know what's going on with the weather. Those are the 4 most popular apps right there when I talk to the drivers. NOAA radar is a pretty popular one too. It'll give you current radar wherever you're at. Wonderground, WeatherBug, those are probably the 2 most talked about amongst the drivers that the drivers use. And I think WeatherBug's the greatest. I love it. You can pretty much bring up any town, and 2 days later you can see the wind forecasts and whatever up to a week out. Okay. Now, obviously, you want to keep checking on that because things change occasionally. But anyway, winter survival tips. You guys that have tow cars and pickups, you want to keep some stuff in there to sustain yourself in case you get into a storm, or maybe there's a rock slide out in the Rocky Mountains, whatever, and you get stranded out on the highway. You want to keep some supplies with you in case you're stranded for a day or two, so you got some food and water. You might even be able to help out some people beside you if you got enough, right? Keep some things with you. Bottom line, be careful. Drive to stay alive in the winter. Take it slow, take it easy, all right? Now, my drive away folks, from November 1st to January 1st, every year we do this. You are not allowed to drive after dark. Matter of fact, they will not even let you out of a Horizon yard after dark with a drive-away unit between November 1st and January 1st. Reason why is because the deer are running. It's hunting season. And so for some reason, deer love motorhomes. And they love to run into them. So they do provide deer whistles at the checkout stations. And they want you using them, but they do not want you peeling the labels off and sticking them to the units with the adhesive. Okay? Now, for you guys that are handy in a garage, let me give you a little tip of advice. Real easy fix to that. Do you know what those little, I really wish I could add a slide just to show you, but they're little V-shaped clamps. I don't know how to say it, but they're like V-shaped clamps like this. And when you squeeze the ends, it opens up the end. They're about an inch. Maybe you can get them in all kinds of different sizes, from little tiny guys up to big ones, okay? But they sell them in just about any. I think I priced them at Ace the other week. They're like $3 for ones about this big, all right? And they're about an inch thick. But get you one of those ones that are about an inch thick and about that big. And on the part that you squeeze, put the deer whistle in there, take the adhesive off, put a little super glue on it, and stick it to the part that you squeeze, and stick it to where it's aiming out that way. And then drill a couple holes through that once it's affixed from that super glue, and put a couple set screws in it just to make sure it stays put. And then all you got to do is just take that thing and clip it right to your grill. And when you're done with your load, grab it. But that works really well. We have a lot of drivers that do that. But they're to be used year round. They want you using deer whistles. Now let's talk about regulatory stuff that will get you fines. All right. You guys are now professional drivers. You know that you cannot have a radar detector in your vehicle, right? Huge fines for that. Huge fines. Plus, usually a lot of times they'll even ask for your radar detector and they'll place it underneath your rear tire and tell you to pull forward and then hand it back to you all broken up. They do not want those things in your vehicles because they know there's only one reason to have a radar detector. That's because you want to break the law. And they know that. They don't like those things. But anyway, cell phones, you cannot be driving down the road like this or like this. Okay? The only thing that's legal on a cell phone is those type of devices right there. Now, if your pickup truck has a Bluetooth built in the stereo, that's acceptable. As long as you can operate it hands-free, it's legal. Cannot have like a headset, though, plugged to your phone and have earpieces in and wires dangling. That's not hands-free because you're still having to reach and answer that phone and push buttons on your phone to answer the phone. That's not a hands-free device, okay? If you just in case I have people ask me that every week. So I just figured I'd let you know that up front. Now, $2,750. That is the maximum fine that you will pay if you are a company driver. Are you guys company drivers? Try this one on for size. If you own your own business, which you guys are independent contractors, so you own your own business, right? $11,000 maximum fine. I could purchase 110 Blue Parrot headsets with that much money. That's a no-brainer. All right? Now, weigh stations. Are there any of you that have never had to go through a weigh station before? Okay. Now, let me give you some advice. If you see signs up here that say no pickups, no RVs, then you can just go past it. But if all it says is weigh station right lane, and that's all it says, you need to pull in. Now, sometimes they'll have open signs, closed signs. If it's open, you pull in. If it's closed, you don't. All right, simple as that. Now, if it is open and you have to pull in that scale for the first time, most of your modern scales, when you hit that ramp, you're going to be in a one-lane situation when you get off the highway, and there's going to be like a plate scale that's about a foot wide and the whole width of your lane, okay? And there'll be signs leading up to it. They'll tell you like to maintain 30 miles per hour. Just obey the signs and do 30 miles an hour across that first scale. It's a moving, they're just getting a moving weight on you over that foot wide scale, okay? And it's not going to be totally accurate, but it'll give them an idea of how heavy you are when you hit that plate. Now, once you go across that, you're going to have a green light to your right, and a green light to your left. To your left, and this is your left over here. A green light to your left and a red light to your right, right? Now, if the light's green, you head back out to the highway. Life is good. If the light is red, then they're going to make you go across the main scale. Okay? So there's all kinds of different ways they have main scale set up. Some of them, there's just one little square pad and they'll weigh you an axle at a time. You want to make sure you have your window open if that's the case, because they're going to tell you to stop. When your steer axle's on there, they'll have a guy with a loudspeaker and he'll say stop. Once you get your weight, he'll say pull forward. Once your drive axle's on there, he'll say stop. And then he'll tell you to pull forward again. Then once your trailer tire gets there, he'll say stop again. Okay? And then he's going to tell you to either come around back or go ahead.
So this whenever you see a
Yep.
light station, you always go
Yep.
to it.
Yep, if it says open, yep, you pull in. Now, and that's motorhomes or pickup trucks, either one of you. You pull in the scales. You're a professional driver. Now, if it's not a platform scale, maybe it's a full length scale, and you just pull on and stop completely. And it'll tell you. There'll be signs there telling you to stop when your steer axle is at a certain point. Sometimes they'll have a white line right on that scale, and they'll want you to put your steer axles right on that white line. Sometimes they'll want you to just roll across that scale at 10 mile per hour, but there's usually always going to be, once again, a green light and a red light. If you get the green light, head back out to the highway, and once again, life is good. Green light, life is bad. You getting pulled in, all right?
Red light.
Red light. Did I say green light?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Red light, life is bad. No, life is good if you've got your logbook up to date and you got everything together. All right? If your logbook's not up to date and you ain't got it together, then life is bad. Okay? Now, let me give you guys a little tip. When you pull into a scale, I'll get you here in a second, but when you pull into a scale, make sure that logbook is up to date. And guys, there's all kinds of programs out there. Trucker's Path, Trucker Buddy. There's Rand McNally Motor Carrier Atlases. That if you just like reading old plain paper and pencil, like the old folks used to do back in the rotary dial age and stuff. All right, but bottom line, there's stuff out there that will tell you where the scales are at. Don't be surprised. Always know when you're getting ready to pull in a scale, and make sure that the logbook should be up to date all the time anyway. But for gosh sakes, don't pull in a scale with your logbook behind. That's the last place you want that logbook to be behind at. Because I guarantee you, if you pull in that scale and you take 10 or 15 minutes because your logbook's behind and you're trying to catch it up, do you think that they don't know what you're doing? They're not stupid. They know exactly what you're doing out in that truck. And I'll guarantee you, you're going to get treated way differently than the guy that comes in there in a couple minutes. The guy that comes in there in 2 minutes, all they're going to do is say, let me see your log. And they'll check your current day's log. As long as it's up to date, they'll check your permits. They'll probably say, have a good day, if everything's good. Now, the guy that took 15 minutes, you better make sure you have your printed up logs with you too, because they're probably going to go through all 7 days, plus the current day that you're on. They're probably going to check the mileage in between towns for every town that you listed on all 7 days and make sure that you're not falsifying your log. But they're going to go through them things with a fine-tooth comb, and they're going to find mistakes because you hurried to get that log done. And if there are any mistakes, they will find them. And they'll fine you anywhere from $100 to $200 a page for every mistake you make. Okay? Now, what was your question?
So you're gonna pull in a camper and it says no pickups, I don't pull in.
If it says no pickups, go by. Yeah. Now, and that one there, all trucks over 20,000 pounds, GVW, next right. That means what it says.
And just addition, I mean, if you just accidentally pass it, miss the sign, just pull over and walk to the station and tell them, look, I didn't see the sign.
Oh.
They're going to help you.
Yeah, well, and if you don't stop, they'll come chase you down.
Yeah.
They'll come get you. All right? But anyway, guys, bottom line, when you pull in that scale, it was just like Marion said this morning when he was introducing. You are either putting a mark on our backs or giving us an expectation of excellence. Either or. One of the two. There's no in between. Okay? So, be the guy that's giving us an expectation of excellence. Make sure that logbook's up to date. Make sure all your lights are working. All that good stuff. You know you're getting ready to go through a scale. That last time you stop to go to the bathroom before you come to that scale, you should be checking all your lights. You'll get fined for that if they're out. Do a quick walk around. Flip your headlights on, flashers. Make sure everything's working. All right? If you get DOT inspected and you get a fine or you get cited for anything, you need to contact us immediately. Let us know that, all right? If you don't tell us about it, we'll find out about it because it'll end up on your CSA scores later on in the year when we ever do a what's that form you guys all had to do that have CDLs? You had to do your MBR and a
They do a DAC,
MVR.
Check the PSP.
PSP report.
Yeah,
That's
PSP
it.
report.
Yeah, PSP report. It'll come up on a PSP report. We'll find out about it. But anyway, here's some of the problem areas. Logs. And like Marion was saying this morning, zero tolerance. You get a logbook finding a scale, they'll delease you.
Will we be able
Okay.
to go through logs sometime today?
What's that?
Will we be able to go practice some logs more today?
I believe Terry told you to watch, there's YouTube videos out there. Go through those YouTube videos, all right? But if you have questions, go to the gals in the logging department and talk to them.
Now, if you got to
Okay.
pull into the scale, if you ain't got nothing behind you, if it's just a truck. And I know some people say that some of the officers get a little.
You're supposed to
irritated.
be placarded,
Mhm.
even when you don't have the truck. If you're coming back here to get a load, by law, you're supposed to keep your placards on. If you've got a placard on there, you're professional. You should be pulling in.
Like
Some of them will see. What's bad about it is some of them will come chase you down if you don't, whereas some of them will say, "What are you doing in my scale in a pickup truck?"
Exactly.
And the thing is, sometimes those people are in the same state.
Mhm.
I mean, it's that goofy out there. So bottom line, I would much rather have somebody say, "What are you doing in my scale?" than have somebody come chase me down and give me a ticket.
Okay, so just treat it like your bobtail.
Yeah. Yep. Now, if you guys decide to go buy a new pickup truck, you want to make sure that the glazing on the windows is not too extreme. All right, too extreme is anything over 30%. You've got to have 70% of your original view in those windows, and 31% or higher, you will get nailed. Okay. Lights are another problem area. I think a lot of people assume that these lights are going to work on these motorhomes the whole way from point A to point B, which they do most of the time. But I'm telling you, these things are slapped together. School buses. If you have a Class A or Class B CDL, you can transport a school bus without a P or an S endorsement on your license. Okay? Now, if you have one person in there, you guys that like to take your wives or your kids or whatever, one person, you now have a passenger. You are now illegal if you don't have the P or the S endorsement. Okay, so if you've got somebody riding along with you and you don't have that P or the S endorsement, do not take a school bus. All right? Now, if you're taking a school bus, some of you guys, maybe you don't have CDLs. If you don't have a CDL, I can help you with that. Like I say, I'm the manager of a test site. But basically, just real quickly, briefly, I'm going to breeze through this. And if anybody has more questions about CDLs later, come talk to me. But if you want to get a CDL through our test site, get a permit in your home state. That's the first step. I don't care whether it's Indiana or wherever. Now, if you're from Oklahoma, Texas, or Washington, I cannot help you. They're not accepting our test results. Okay? Now, if all you want to do is Class B and do drive away, and that's all you ever want to do is drive away, then all you need to do is take general knowledge and air brake test in your home state. Those are the two written tests you need to take. If you're tow away, and all you ever want to do is tow away, you need to take the general knowledge and the combination vehicle in your home state. Now, if you want to do tow away and drive away, you need to take general knowledge, combination vehicle, and air brakes if you want to be able to do everything out in that yard and do drive away and tow away both. And we can pull that one off with either doing one test in a semi or doing two tests, and doing a test first in your pickup truck with a gooseneck and then doing a test in a B vehicle. That'll add the air brake endorsement to it. Okay, so we can do it one of two ways. Now, if you live in Indiana, all you need to do is study your pre-trip once you get that permit, and then schedule a test. That's it. Now, if you live out of state, you got to get that permit first, and then by law, you have to do training. If you test outside of your home state, it is a requirement of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration that if you test outside your home domicile, you must take training in the state that you test in. So far, they have not specified as to how many hours of training that is at this point. So right now, I require a minimum of 2 hours. I have to have something on the books stating that I did some training with you in order for it to be legal, okay? So if you're going to do it, if all you want is a Class B and you're just a drive away and that's all you ever want to do, I'll require 2 hours training. And what I'll do during that 2 hours is I'll demo a perfect pre-trip for you, and then I'll have you do one for me, and then I'll critique every little thing you miss, and then we'll run you right out and test you while it's all fresh in your head. And I'll also give you, as soon as you schedule that training, I'll also email you some study sheets for you to be reading through for a couple weeks and studying prior to coming and seeing me, so you're prepared. And I guarantee you, if you just look at that sheet a couple times and throw it in the back of your truck, you will come in here and you will fail. Okay? You got to study, guys. I always tell everybody, prepare for this thing like you're prepping for a college exam, and you'll pass. No, you cannot use study sheets on the pre-trip. You have to. It's all got to be in your head. Now, pickup truck guys, I put 2 to 8 hours of training. Reason I do that, 2 hours minimum, and we'll do the pre-trip. I put the 2 to 8 just in case your backing stinks, and I got to teach you how to back. All right? Now, semi guys, if you want to be able to do it all, I put 12 to 20 hours. Now, mind you, I'm packing into 20 hours what a truck driving school does in 140. But the big difference with us is it's all going to be one-on-one. You're not going to have to share a truck with 5 guys and sit around and watch 4 guys drive 8 hours and then you get to drive 2. You're going to be doing all the driving, okay? And another plus, Roy and I both have well over 20 years of training experience, both of us. So you're working with 2 pretty experienced trainers. I can pretty much get anybody to drive a truck in 20 hours. Now, here's the bad news, guys. If I teach you how to drive a semi, if you don't go drive a semi soon after that, you're not going to retain it. Okay? If you're doing it just so you can do it with one test and you don't want to have that restriction on your license, I mean, you'll be able to drive a semi. But I guarantee you, if you don't drive one for a year after you get done with this training, you won't remember how to drive it when you go to get back in it. You won't be able to shift, and you'll have a heck of a time. You'll have to be retrained. Training might go pretty easy for you because you've got a little bit of an idea, but you're still going to have to be retrained and refreshed in order to get to where you can shift. But if you do decide ever to do something where you're going to drive a semi, you can always call Roy or I, schedule a little training time, and we'll get your shifting back up to par again. Okay? But anyway, $45 an hour for training for you guys. It's $80 to the general public, so we're giving it to you at almost half price. $175 for the test. That's standard. That's the standard price we have to charge. Every site in the state of Indiana charges that if you use our equipment. Now, Marion Schrock will flip the bill for a free test for you once you get 25,000 safety miles. So if you wait till you get 25,000 safety miles, you can take 2 hours training for $45 and get a free test. So for $90, you can get a Class B or a Class A if your backing's good and you want to just do 2 hours in the pickup. All right? Any questions on CDL? All right. Shoot, I got to back up here. Nevada. The beautiful state of Nevada. Guys, if you get a trip going to California, if you do not purchase a trip permit prior to entering the state of Nevada, you will get a $1,500 fine. Okay? That permit has to be purchased prior to entering the state, and it's good for 24 hours. You have 24 hours to get through Nevada once that thing's dated and stamped. Okay? So my suggestion to you is this. If you're going to cross the northern part of Nevada on 80, it's like 430 miles from Wendover over to Reno, okay? About right around 437, I think it is. If you're going to cross there, I would stop at East Wendover, Utah, right before you're getting ready to cross into the line. There's a Pilot truck stop there, okay? Or go get yourself a hotel room in the town, whatever you decide you want to do. But stop in East Wendover, and in the morning, get your permit, okay? And I'll go through how to get your permit in a second, but get your permit. And then you've got 14 hours to beat feet across Nevada once you start, okay? Because that permit's going to expire in 24 hours once they issue it to you. You know, so basically 14-hour driving and a 10-hour break, that permit's going to be used up, all right? So and the thing is, once you get through Reno, where are you at? You're at Donner Pass. Is there anywhere to stop and park a truck for the night in Donner Pass?
No.
No. Once you get through Donner Pass, where are you at? You're in the Sierras. Is there anywhere to stop unless you want to go to a ski lodge? Probably pretty much not. You're pretty much going to have to drive almost all the way to Sacramento until there's anywhere to park that vehicle, okay? So if you're crossing on the northern border and you got a good piece of driving to do, okay? So you don't want to let any grass grow under your feet that day, all right?
There's no speed limit, is there, out there? Across Nevada?
I think it's 70. I think it's 70 in Nevada. But anyway, guys, when you get your first load today, you're going to get a packet that looks just like that. It's going to have your bill of lading in it, your DAF form, your certificate of origin, all that stuff Terry should have explained to you yesterday. But also inside that packet is going to be a sheet that looks like that, required permit alert. Now, I know they email you the your directions. They may email you this now. I'm not sure if I'm getting this right or not, because I don't know. They changed it to where they're emailing certain documents to you now when they assign a load. This may be one of them. It's either going to be emailed to you or it's going to be in your packet, okay? But you will get a required permit alert if you need any extra permits above and beyond what you have. Make sure you look for that, all right? And it's going to give you exact instructions on there. Just read the instructions and do what it says to do. It's as simple as that, all right? For Nevada here, they give you a phone number to call. You just call that number, and they'll be real helpful. They'll walk you right through everything. They'll tell you, first thing they're going to ask you for is for your credit card information. You'll have to give them credit card information and pay for the permit. It costs around $70. And then once you get that permit, let me finish because I may answer your question along the way. But once you get that permit, you can show it to them on the phone. If they ask you for it, you don't have to have it printed up. Now, you're either going to have to print it up if you turn in your paperwork manually and just hand it in when you get back. But if you decide to attach your paperwork to the app, and there is a place you can do that, there's a settlement tab on your app, which you haven't been able to see all that stuff yet because you're not able to get in past the load screens. But once you're assigned a load, there will be a settlement tab in there where you can actually just take a picture of your paperwork with your phone and then attach it and send it in, okay? Now you can attach that PDF file in that settlement tab too and just send it in that way, okay? For you guys that are geeky and know how to use your phones, all right? All right, now, and I answered your question, right? Okay, good. Now, but make sure you get that permit, guys. $1,500 fine. I guarantee you, 5 miles inside the Nevada line, there will be DOT officers in there randomly pulling over RV pullers. And they won't ask you for your driver's license and registration. As soon as you roll that window down, they will say, "Driver, can I see your trip permit?" They're wanting to get to you for that $1,500 fine, all right? So, you know, as soon as you show them that trip permit, they'll say, "Have a good day." They won't even ask you for your license and registration. They're going to go after the next RV because they know they're going to pop someone here pretty soon. They're looking to make as much money as they can that day off the guys that don't get them. All right? Now, the web page that you guys have been logging into for your recruiting, you're going to go to that same page now, and instead of hitting new driver, you will hit driver. You guys are now drivers for us, okay? Now, the first time you do that, it's going to prompt you to put a user ID and a password in there. And your user ID is your driver number. Your password is the last 4 of your social. Now, when you do that, it is going to take you to what is called the contractor services page. Okay? Now, on that contractor services page, there's all kinds of good stuff on there. Things that you need to learn. All right? As a matter of fact, they will even give you 1,000 free safety miles every month if you log into that page 20 times in a calendar month, because they want you on there finding out about any new developments, anything that comes up, finding out the rules of the company, things like that. The guys that familiarize themselves with the contents of that site know the company, and they're not the guys calling in here all the time asking questions, because you'll find out usually most all the answers to your questions on that website or in your driver manual that's in your packet. All right? What do you think that amount there is?
Amount of money you can make if you work hard.
Woo! Okay. Boy, don't we all wish. Now, that is how much money Marion Schrock paid out for damages in the year 2014. Not everything is settled yet. It's going to be close to that in 2015. 2016, it's looking like it might be close to $3 million. A lot of money. Guys, we want you to help us bring that down. Okay? And you can help us bring that down. And we've done some things with that new app that will help us bring that down. Okay? Bottom line, nobody enjoys having a breakdown, but eventually you're going to have them. Hopefully you don't have damages, but we're going to talk breakdowns and damages here over the next 20, 30 minutes. And guys, we're actually running ahead because I haven't had a lot of comments because we're filming. So I think we're just going to finish everything up and get her done. I take a break at noon, but I think we might be done before 12:30 if I just keep going. Okay, so we're just going to keep zipping through it, all right? But anyway, pre-trip inspection, guys, it all begins. Preventing damages and preventing breakdowns all begins with doing a good pre-trip. The guys that go out there in that yard and just slam, bam, wham, grab that thing and out the gate they go and they hardly look at nothing, you're the guys that are going to lose your safety damage deposit quickly. Quickly. Okay? If you want to retain possession of that $1,500, I suggest you do a good pre-trip. And the thing is, guys, it's going to kind of lull you to sleep, because you're going to do 12, 13, 14, 15 pre-trips on different units in a row, and they're going to be perfect. And then you're going to start thinking, these things are always in good shape. I ain't looking at this one. That's the one you're going to get burned on. That's the one that's going to have the gouge or the scratch in it. You can't let up on doing the pre-trips and checking these things out. Spend at least 30 to 45 minutes really looking these units over well and making sure there's no gouge or scratch or anything wrong with these things. Because once you pull out the gate, if you haven't reported it, you own it. And I guarantee you they will find it on the delivery end. Okay? So you got to make sure you're checking these things over really well.
Now, if you find something and you bring it to the attention,
I'm going to really cover all this pretty thoroughly. Write down your questions, okay? Write down your questions. Now, pre-trip inspections. If you're picking up a unit that does not originate at the Horizon Yard, they're going to email you this sheet, and you've got the same sheet. It's in your driver manual, page 26 and 27, but they're going to email you this sheet. Make sure, and this is usually going to be a used unit. If you're doing this, it's a backhaul and it's a used unit. Make absolute sure on these used units, there's going to be all kinds of dents and dings and scratches and stuff all over these things. Man, really look over that unit and mark down everything that's wrong with that unit on these things, because some of these people, how many people have figured out that not everybody in today's world is honest? Okay? I guarantee you some of these people will burn you for their dents and try to get their mobile home fixed for free, or motor home fixed for free on your dime. Okay? Guard yourselves from that. Make sure that you mark every damage down that there is on this sheet. Okay? And then send that in to us in the pre-trip tab. All right? And there's like a pre-trip tab in your app. Okay? You'll find out about that this afternoon. There's a pre-trip tab. There's a damages tab. There is a delivery tab. There's a settlement tab. But you can't see any of that right now because all you're able to do is see the load board. But once you get assigned a load, then you'll see all that stuff. And they're going to go over that this afternoon with you, okay? Now, guys, you pick up a unit and it won't start. Okay? You want to make sure that you've checked everything out before you come in. Don't just come in and say it won't start. And then we come out there and we hit all the buttons and we can't get it started either. We jack the hood and then we find that. Okay? You should have found that before you come in. Okay? If it won't start, that's the first thing I'm going to look at is see if the battery's connected. Now, when you get in your motorhome for the first time, it will not start. I promise you, your motorhome will not start. Okay? Now, the reason is because we tell all the shuttlers to turn the power switch. Compartment doors on driver's side. Is there damage on the outside? Who's responsible for damage on the outside of the unit? The driver. So, let me give you a tip, guys. If this thing here says no driver damage, and that's all it says, you got a clean DAF form. All right? But if it says anything other than no driver damage, and it's damage and it's on the outside of the unit, it may as well not even say no driver damage here. It means nothing. You could have no driver damage on every line, 3 columns wide here, written 25 times, and if that's written there, no driver damage means nothing. Okay? The only way that DAF form is clean is if it says no driver damage and that's all it says, or if it says absolutely nothing here and it's signed by the dealership. That's a clean DAF. And guys, even with a clean DAF, we still want you to take pictures. That's why we've got that picture tab there on the delivery. We want pictures of that unit when you drop it off because they will still try to submit claims, even with a clean DAF. And if we've got pictures, we can protect you guys from having claims. Yes? What about the roof? Take pictures as far, get a good far away shot where you can at least get that the lens caps are there and they're all there and they're clean. All right? Now, if you're a little skinny guy and you're not afraid to climb up the ladder, if you want to do that, fine. But I'm telling you, it's pretty dangerous climbing up and down that ladder. A big hefty guy like me, man, you don't want to get on that ladder. I bend that ladder. Okay? So, anyway. Now, basically, over 3 months had elapsed by the time the guy we got this claim. He never sent in any pictures. He lost $844.50 out of his damage deposit because he didn't take pictures. And the thing is, he didn't take pictures at the pre-trip end either. Had he taken pictures at the pre-trip end, we may have been able to prove that that scratch or that scuff was already in there when he picked it up, if we'd have had pictures. But we didn't have any. If he would have took pictures at the delivery end, he's probably still going to lose some of his damage deposit, but we could have at least bartered with them and said, hey, you know, look at this. This is nothing. That you probably rubbed that out in about 15 minutes. We'll pay you for an hour of labor, and that's it. If you had to replace that door, I want a receipt for that damaged door. You know, give us something to bargain with. We got to have pictures, okay? Huh?
They keep
Just send it out and that's it.
Yeah, just attach it to the app. You're going to go to the delivery tab on the app, and there'll be a camera icon there. Just hit that camera icon, it'll open up your camera, take your pictures. Okay? And the pictures will store in our server, okay? You won't even have to store them on your own phone. But anyway, take pictures, guys. Now, here's a damage that happened en route. Tow-away guy. Basically, it says we're charging the company for the attached warranty claim. We'll deduct the amount of $1,715.80 on the nearest check run. 45 days from the above date if we do not receive a credit memo or check from your company. Now, they charged us $656 for parts, $1,059 for labor, and then in the comments it says tire blowout. The driver never reported the blowout on this unit to the transport company or prime time. Okay, so what happened was, this is a tow-away guy. He's en route. He blows a tire out on his travel trailer. He goes to the back of the trailer. It's got a spare tire on the back. He takes the spare tire off, changes it out, puts the blown out tire in the tire carrier, puts it back on, and then he goes and delivers the unit and doesn't say a word to anybody. Bad mistake. Now, what the driver failed to notice was there was all kinds of damage underneath in the wheel well area from that tire blowing out. And he went and he delivered a damaged unit. So he committed two major errors. Number one, he did not report a damage. Number two, he delivered a damaged unit. Two bad things, all right? And the thing is, you're not responsible for a blown tire. Had he communicated like he was supposed to, he would not have lost $1,500 on his damage deposit. This guy lost $1,500 on his damage deposit because he did not follow protocol. When you have a blown out tire, and it's like I said, guys, I don't care where you have damage. At pickup, en route, or at the dealership, you have damage, you take pictures, you call in, you send in the pictures. That guy failed to do that. Okay? Had he let us know about that, we would have probably told him to check the underneath of that thing and make sure there wasn't no damage underneath that unit from that tire blowing out. But he didn't even communicate to us. He just went ahead and did his own thing. Yep. Yep. Had he communicated with us, he would have lost $0 from his damage deposit. We would have sent him somewhere to get that unit repaired before we delivered it. If he was close by, we would have had him just turn around probably and bring it back. But he didn't give us that option. He just did his own thing, did what he thought he should do. And it cost him $1,500. He didn't make no money off that load, I guarantee it. Now, weekend damages. Damages that happen in the yard. Take pictures of the damage. Attach them to the damages tab in your app. Put some masking tape around the damaged area. And you're going to park that vehicle in damage row. Damage row is the first row to the left and walk in the walkie yard. Huh?
I had to. I'm sorry, I had to.
If it's full, talk to the checkout station and ask her where you want it. Ask her where to put it. All right. But talk to the checkout station, have them take you off of that load. Do not ever pull a damaged unit out of the yard on the weekends. Have them take you off of the load. Then you're going to go to that self-dispatch board that comes up when you get on the app and dispatch yourself. Now, the bad news is you guys can't dispatch yourself till you get 25,000 safety miles in, okay? So, if my advice to you, if you're going to pick up on the weekends, get in here at 8 in the morning on Saturday morning, because we have a dispatcher on duty from 8 to noon on Saturdays. After that, there is nobody on duty to dispatch you until Monday morning. Okay? So if you're going to pick up early in the morning Saturday morning. Yes, sir?
Are they damages 24-hour hotline?
There is somebody that will answer the phone between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. If it happens between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m., you're going to have to wait. Just sit tight.
You can't dispatch on Sundays?
No. Not until you get 25,000 miles in, and then you can self-dispatch with the app. Okay? Now, the checkout station attendant may be able to aid you in getting a load if it's Saturday morning. Like I say, she can call over and find out who's on duty, and they can help you out. But between Saturday noon and Monday morning at 8 o'clock, you're gonna be stuck. Okay. If you don't do this, you place yourself in danger of losing part or all your damage deposit. All right. So basically, my suggestion would be, if you're going to pick up on the weekends, make it Saturday morning or pick up on Friday when there's people here. Okay. Now, accepted for storage only. This is one of a number of things that I want to talk about that can happen to you at the dealership. Okay. Accepted for storage only. What that statement means is the dealership, do not have to pay the manufacturer for this unit until it sells. Okay? If you're delivering a unit, I stress, you're at the delivery point, and they put accepted for storage only on your paperwork, you need to call us immediately and make sure that the dealership actually has this set up with the manufacturer. Because if they don't, they're going to be ticked off if you leave that place without calling. Because now it's set in stone. Once you leave, it's done. All right? And sometimes the manufacturer has it set up with the dealership, sometimes they don't. And this is something that only will happen like maybe 1 out of 100 loads. Now, Terry went through the steps to success with you yesterday, correct? One of those steps to success, he talks about how to handle your delivery paperwork. Guys, I would make up a checklist. Okay, I do this, and this every time I deliver a unit. And one of those thises should be to check and see if it says accepted for storage only on the bills. Because if you have it on a checklist, you won't forget about it. If you don't, are you going to remember this if this happens to you 10 months from now? That we talked about this in class. Okay? So that's one of the reasons to have a checklist. Okay? You could put it in reminders if you got an iPhone and have a little checklist build up, and just every time you do it, hide them, and then unhide them and uncheck them for your next delivery, and then check them off as you go. That'd be one way you could do that. But bottom line, make up some sort of system where you're checking the same things and making sure you do the same stuff every time you deliver a unit. And this is one thing you should be checking for. Now, if you leave and they don't have it set up and you don't call, you know how the statement crap passes downhill? Okay. If manufacturer doesn't get paid, Marion doesn't get paid, you don't get paid. When that unit sells, manufacturer gets paid, Marion gets paid, then you get paid. Okay, so it's going to hold up your pay if you don't call us. Okay, you call us, you get paid, because if they have it set up, fine, you'll get paid. If they don't have it set up, you're probably going to hear the phone ring at the dealership within the next 5 minutes with a really angry manufacturer saying, hey, why are you trying to pull this on this driver? Get that off that paperwork. Okay? Here's another thing they will put on the bills when you go to the dealerships. But basically, they're going to put something on there saying that they're not going to inspect that unit right now. Guys, if they don't inspect that unit, it is so imperative that you take pictures. I mean, we want you taking them anyway, every time you deliver. But, man, that is the time you really want. I guarantee you, they're salivating, waiting to see if you're going to take pictures. Here's another thing that will happen to you at the dealerships. They will take this unit and tell you, we're going to go wash the unit so we can get the dirt off of it, so we can inspect it. You'll never see the unit again. You need to be firm with them. You got to be nice to them. I mean, they're our customers, but you've got to tell them, you cannot take that unit till you either, one, sign my paperwork or let me get pictures. Okay? You can't take that unit till either I get pictures, and then don't take no for an answer. Just walk over and start taking pictures.
Can't you do that the minute you get out of it?
That's what I would do. I would do that before I even go in. And here's another thing too. When you take those pictures, make sure at the delivery end you can see a building that's right by the place or something that attaches it to that place where they can't say, well, that picture wasn't taken at this facility. Yeah, it was. This is right across the street. There's the restaurant. There's the McDonald's that's across the street right there, or whatever, you know, something that attaches it. Okay? Oh, subject to inspection. That's what, see, I told you. Yeah, I hate it when you get those moments. Man, I say that in every class every week, subject to inspection, okay? So if it says subject to inspection, take pictures. You know, you don't need to call. Just take pictures. Make sure and you should be getting them anyway. But in that circumstance, definitely get pictures because that's a claim waiting to happen. Okay? Now, my drive-away folks, when you pick up a drive-away unit and it has a Freightliner chassis, and you may get assigned one of these, and non-CDLers, if you get one of these, occasionally it's going to have a GVWR of 25999, which you are legal to haul without a CDL, and it's going to have air brakes in it, and you're legal driving that vehicle with no air brakes. Okay? Because it is not a CDL class vehicle. It does not weigh 26,001 pounds. So you don't have to have a CDL for it. Okay? Whether it has air brakes or not is moot. Because it's not a CDL qualified vehicle. Okay? Now, you probably don't understand air brakes and you're going to be nervous about it because you've never driven anything with air brakes. Or, well, maybe you drove the bus yesterday with Roy. Maybe that was your first time with air brakes. But guys, if you have questions about air brakes, come see me or Roy. And a matter of fact, I think I may even suggest that we make a video about air brakes for folks that encounter that and don't understand it, where you can go to our site and look at a little short 5-minute video about the do's and don'ts of air brakes and how to check and make sure and pressure test them and all that stuff, make sure it's working. Good suggestion, huh? Anyway, but anyway, these Freightliner chassis, here's another thing about them. They have glow plugs on them, all right? Now, you have to utilize the glow plug on these Freightliner units, or basically you're going to end up with a check engine light on. You'll blow a sensor out, and now you're going to end up with a check engine light on. Now, what the glow plug is, it's a little storage area that fuel goes into, and it heats the fuel up, and then it injects it into the engine. Okay? The way that you get that to work is you just turn the key to, this is the way you should start a diesel every time you start a diesel. I don't care if it's a pickup truck or whatever you have. You're slowly damaging your engine if you don't utilize the glow plug in a diesel engine. But you should be turning the key to the on position, letting the gauges reset, and then all the lights on the dash turn off. Then you start that diesel engine. That's the way you should always start a diesel engine. If you're cold starting it like a car, you're damaging your engine slowly. All right? But that fuel's got to be heated up before you start a cold diesel engine. Now, we do not want you driving trucks with a warning indicator light on. If you do happen to blow that sensor and that engine warning light comes on, you are in breakdown status. Do not transport a unit with an engine warning light on. All right? All right. Now, if you do have to drop a unit off at a facility to get repaired, we want you to take a picture of that unit and get the fuel gauge in there and the odometer. All right? And the reason is because we've been having trouble with fuel getting stolen at repair facilities. You know, so make sure that you get pictures of that. Another thing too, if I've got that extra quarter tank of fuel in there like this guy does, I'd like to get reimbursed for that. That's out of my pocket, and I'm dropping that off at a repair facility. If you send in your fuel receipt and attach it to your settlements in your settlement tab, and let them know that you dropped that unit off for repair with that much fuel in it, and attach that picture, they'll figure out what the difference is and reimburse your cost on that fuel. Okay. Got to make sure and communicate to us that you want that done though. All right, or it won't happen. All right. Now, fuel stations can be dangerous places. You've just passed the TA and the pilot and the Petro, and you're running out of fuel, and you realize it now, and shoot, I should have stopped at that fuel station back there, and you're thinking about maybe turning around at the next exit because you don't know if you'll make it to the next place to get fuel, and lo and behold, you see a sign that says diesel, next exit, and you hop off, and it says diesel, left 2 miles. And you go on down there, and it's Billy Bob's Truck Stop in Dogpatch, Tennessee. Okay? And Billy Bob's has got a big old dip going in there. Are you going to try to tackle that dip? You better not. You'll end up out of fuel and off the ground. All right? Remember, any dip, it's got to be a gradual one, and you got to hit it at an angle, yes? Another thing you got to watch out for in those little stations like Billy Bob's, all right, is this. When you're pulling underneath fuel islands to get your fuel, make sure those awnings are high enough. That awning may be 11 foot. You'll tear everything off the top of that unit if you got an 11-foot awning. That awning should be up at least 13.6. And any bridge that you travel underneath should be at least 13.6. All right? Make sure that you get in the habit of watching your bridge signs now. You're not in a car anymore. You're in a large, high-profile vehicle. You've got to watch your height signs on your bridges. Anybody here from New York? Any New Yorkers? Okay. In New York, and I was just going to say, because he would verify it if the guy was from the state of New York, if I had anyone in here, but New York bridge signs are a foot off. If it says 12.6, it's 13.6. If it says 13 foot, it's 14 foot. Okay? That's the only state in the United States that does that. But all your bridge heights should be 13.6 if you're going to try to go underneath it. Guys, do you all know what DEF is? Diesel exhaust fluid. Is there anybody that doesn't? Just in case there is somebody that does not. Okay. Diesel exhaust fluid is it's a system that they put in that basically cleans up your emissions. Your exhaust goes through this DEF thing, and supposedly it comes out the end of your exhaust so clean you should be able to put your mouth up to the tailpipe and breathe it, and you won't die. Supposedly. It's supposed to be 99.9% emission free when it leaves the tailpipe, all right? But anyhow, when you pick up a motorized unit that has DEF, they're usually always full, and you're not going to have to worry about it. There will be a gauge within a gauge that looks like that one that'll tell you how much DEF there is. That one's got just a hair over half a tank. But you don't want to let it get underneath a quarter tank. If you let it get underneath a quarter tank, you are putting yourself in a position where it could go into engine protection mode, And if a DEF system goes into engine protection mode, your vehicle will not go more than 5 miles per hour. And hopefully you're not on the loneliest road in America when that happens. Any of you guys ever been there? Highway 50 out in Nevada? It's like a 159-mile stretch, and all you'll pass is a couple tumbleweeds, not a car. I guarantee you, most people are smart enough not to get on that road. But anyway, safety bonus. You guys can make a 70 or 3-cent safety bonus right now. Now, right now for the tow-away guys, they have a special on because we are so busy with tow-away units. But right now, the bonus is 5 cents per mile for this month, next month, and the following month, okay? Now, unfortunately, you're starting on March 22nd, so you're not going to be able to get one for this month. You just don't have enough time, okay? But starting next month, if you, basically they pay it out on the 15th of the month, so whatever you do next month in April, it'll be paid out on May, on the 15th of the month in May for April. And basically, you just got to meet these requirements to qualify. You need 5,000 loaded miles or 8 deliveries. Now, to get the 5 cents with tow away, and it's 3 cents for everybody else, guys, all right? But to get the 5 cents with the tow away, it all has to be, the miles have to be out of Horizon yards. It can't, they won't count any backhaul miles toward this. They're really pushing to get units moved out of the yards. If you have 5,000 miles outbound mileage out of the any of our area yards, then you will make that 5 cent bonus, okay? And from what I've heard, they don't even care if you have a CDL right now for the next 3 months, if you do this, okay? Now, after May, everybody has to have a CDL. And drive-away people, you have to have a CDL to qualify for your 3 cents, okay? But they want a Class A for tow-away, Class B for drive-away. That's the way it normally is, and it's usually 3 cents across the board for everybody. They've just got this special on with tow-away right now because we need units moved bad. But no compliance-related dispatch blocks. All contractual obligations are current, okay? No late logs. All your paperwork needs to be turned in on in time, or turned in on time, excuse me. You can't let your DOT physical expire and driver's license expire, anything like that. All your stuff's got to keep up to date, bottom line, all right? Just turn in your logs at the end of every load, and then you won't have that problem. It's as simple as that. Now, Horizon does have a safety incentive program. And guys, this is the last thing we're going to talk about, so we are just about done. But for every safety mile driven, you get a safety mile for every mile driven without a load, with a load without an incident. You'll earn rewards as you achieve certain safety levels. And you'll only get the rewards for each level one time, all right? For a clean DOT inspection, they will award you 2,000 safety miles, and they'll put $25 on your ComData card. So you want to make sure you let us know you get a DOT inspection, clean or bad, okay? Clean one because you'll get the safety miles in that, all right? Now, like I was saying earlier, if you log into the Contractor Services website 20 times a month, you'll earn 1,000 safety miles every month. So that's a real easy way to get some extra safety miles built up quick, all right? Now, here's the bad one, the negative one. You will lose 10,000 safety miles if you receive a fine during a DOT inspection. Okay? Keep your vehicles in good shape, guys. Check your brakes. Make sure your brake pads are thick enough. Make sure they're adjusted right. Check things out. Now, if you have an accident or a damage occurs, you'll lose access to auto dispatch for 25,000 safety miles, or for 25,000 miles, and you'll lose safety miles as listed below. If you have a damage between $1 and $2,450, 75,000 safety miles. And so on and so forth. You guys can see it. I mean, it is what it is. But you know, you have a major one and you total out a unit, you lose all your safety miles. All right. Now, some contractors, you have the option to do this. Okay. Let's say you've got a damage, and we'll go back to this screen here. Let's go back here. Let's say you have a damage that's $1,800. Okay? Obviously, you're going to lose your $1,500 damage deposit, right? So $1,500 of it's already paid. All right? If you wanted to choose the option to pay the other $300, they won't take your safety miles in a case like that. That's up to you. You know, and you can do that, you know, specifically to any load. I mean, if you're, you know, you're getting ready to get a 100,000 mile safety mile award or something, and you get a $1,700 damage, and you want to get that because you've earned it. You know, you might want to pay the extra $200, and you'll keep your safety miles that way. All right. That's completely up to you. That's your choice. We're not forcing anybody to do that. That's your choice if that happens. Hopefully you never get in that position to even have to worry about that, right? Everybody in here is going to stay accident free, right? It should be the goal. That's one thing I did just about every day, man, before I got in that truck, man. I would pray. I'd say, Lord, keep me safe today. You know, keep me accident free. You know, good thing to do. But anyway, here's all the different awards you receive at different levels. 10,000 miles, get a certificate and a hat. 25,000 hat, certificate, and you get on self-dispatch, and you get a free CDL skills test at that point. That's probably when you want to come see me if you want to get that CDL or get it upgraded or something, because you get a cheap test. Don't blow your cheap test. Study. Okay, I think I already said that once before, but I stress study, man. Prepare like you're prepping for a college exam with that pre-trip. 50,000 miles certificate hat, 100,000 miles. Now they start throwing a fuel card in there, and instead of a hat, you get a jacket. And the jackets are nice. They're not chintzy. They're nice jackets. I've got a 1,000,000-mile jacket because I was a 1,000,000-miler with my old company, and they had an extra jacket, and they decided to give it to me, which I like it. I wear it proudly. I love it. It's a nice jacket. 250,000, same thing. You know, hat, jacket, certificate, fuel card. Same thing with 500,000. Now at 1,000,000 miles, you get a plaque. You end up out on that wall out there on the Wall of Fame. You get a beautiful, like $500 leather jacket. I'm telling you, it is nice. It is nice. It's got the Horizon logo on the back etched in. It's a gorgeous coat. Release from Horizon damage deposit. You don't have to have a damage deposit anymore once you become a 1,000,000-miler. 3-day, 2-night vacation package, and you get to go out and have dinner with Marion Schrock and probably his wife Brenda. And they're good folks, man. You guys won't work for a better guy than Marion Schrock. They're good Christian folks, man. They're good people. The Schrocks are. But guys, bottom line, you're either going to put a mark on our back or give us an expectation of excellence. Be excellent out there. All right? Be safe. Be accident free. And drive to stay alive. You're going to hear that all the time, man. Every time you hear Marion leave a phone message on a phone or something, he'll always end it with "arrive alive." Yeah, that's important. But anyway, guys, God bless you. Be safe out there.